So what's next for the headline Aaron Blaze? Well, you're going to find out tonight. As you might want to say, it's Summer's last stand, but I can tell you for sure, this ain't our guest last stand anytime soon, anywhere, in any place he goes. Because if you've seen him, and boy, has he been blazing a trail all over the place. And that trail he's blazed has led him to near the top of the BYW Hub rankings. Number 2, not too bad, and behind a guy that he had a match that people will be talking about for years and years to come still. We'll definitely discuss that. We'll definitely discuss what is going on in UWA and what is going on with CJ and Sammy Slade and what did our guest do after the main event. And we'll talk about his successful Heritage Championship defense victory over Tristan Taylor, my sort of cohort in the other PWF. He's the owner of the PWF Mid-South, but he might want to stick to owning the PWF after what I saw in that match. We'll get into that. We'll also get into what's going on in YBW with that CCW championship our guest is holding. I might ask, what else is next for our guest to blaze trails with? And I'm going to have an announcement for ROEW that's going to also involve our guest. Boy, ladies and gentlemen, this is one I definitely would want to tune into one, even if I wasn't hosting this show. Because after all, we're on that road to 1,000 subscribers here on Sportswire Radio. I'm less than 100 away, and I'm, who knows, 95, 94, 93. But the point is the road never stops here on Sportswire Radio, especially with a man who's arguably maybe traveled the biggest road of anybody in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit, except for that guy, who he wrestled, who sits number 1 BYW Hub rankings. But I certainly won't hold it against our guest, because after all, he is one of our all-time favorites. He is one of the very best to have ever done it in the backyard wrestling circuit. And I'm going to also have some announcements involving a friend or two of his that's coming on to Sportswire Radio and making a debut. You'll definitely want to tune into this one, because after all, I've made sure, ladies and gentlemen, since after all, we are closing the weekend off here in style, that I've got my work uniform on here, because after all, I want to make sure that I show up to work, and I want to make sure that I don't get fired by our guests and everybody else watching and listening to this one here, because after all, it's you, the people, that employ me, and it's you, the people, that have made Sportswire Radio the only platform where all wrestling matters, and the only platform that gives you each and every night some of your very favorites. But now it's time to give our guest. I'm going to try to do, because yesterday when I announced Sean Jovi, I felt like my voice was going to crack. But I've been on my best behavior with my voice all day today. I haven't said much. I haven't spoken to anybody. People have been trying to message me on Facebook and other places, phone calls. And I have been basically not answering any calls, because I want to make sure I get this 17-time world champion's introduction right. Because after all, if I don't get it right, well, maybe he'll say a few things about me than like he did with that guy with 3 initials that doesn't work in his promotion anymore. But we'll certainly see about what else all is in store here tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to kick the weekend off, or close the weekend off here with our guest, and give him that introduction in prime time, the bright stage, a platform that he most certainly helped build on Sportswire Radio. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number 1, Global Sports Show. A man that is a 17-time world champion across many stops in the backyard underground wrestling circuit. His home promotion is closing in on 1,500 subs. One of the greatest travelers in backyard wrestling history, a man who sits number 2 in the BYW Hub rankings. He's the reigning, defending CCW World Champion, and he's also the reigning, defending UWA Heritage Champion, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. His name is simply put, the headline. The champ is here. Champ, how you doing tonight?
Great. I can get used to hearing that Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. It's got a beautiful ring to it. I love it.
I'm happy you feel that way because Rad Dad felt the same way when because Rad Dad was like, "Well, I'm a Hall of Famer. I don't care what number I am. I'm a Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer." He was proud of that, and I was like, "Well, okay." Right. He was like fired up. I mean, Rad Dad was like, "Well, I'm in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you can say anything you want about me afterwards." So I'm very excited about that, and it's always good to be with you. And I was very happy, actually, I did get through that introduction because I really, after last night's show with Sean Jovi, I was kind of, I think Abraham was in the chat. I really did hear my voice crack. So I was like, baby, yeah. I had this happen one time, ironically, with the CCW talent in the UK. That's their general manager, Taylor Trutz. And I was like, ugh, but this time I got it. I got the point. But how you feeling tonight, champ? I have an announcement here in about 60 or so seconds I'll get to, sort of involving you. But how are we doing tonight?
I am doing great. I just had a wonderful, marvelous dinner. I got to see some of my church family who I haven't seen in a long time. Got to get out of the house.
What's your dinner? So what did you have? The headline Aaron Blaze, 17-time world champion. What was for dinner tonight?
So for dinner, I had a sandwich, and I also had a fruit tart. Now, I know that sounds weird, but my God, both are really great. Got it from Wegmans. I don't require super fancy, smancy
Well, you're
stuff
Aaron
all the time,
Blaze.
so.
You have traveled everywhere. You're a 17-time world champion, so I think we'll give you a pass. Maybe if it was somebody else, we'd kind of go, I don't know about that. But you're Aaron Blaze, so we'll obviously give you a pass. But obviously... But I think I'm going to get to an announcement. It sort of involves you in a way. Yes. And I think I'm going to go right for the jugular. Because, I mentioned on Instagram about ROEW. And I have a major announcement on ROEW. Because, as I'm sure you're aware of, ROEW just recently passed 1,000 YouTube subscribers. A major accomplishment from a company that really once upon a time was in the backyard wrestling nexus, was kind of without a home anywhere. And they were this company really just of a couple of people, really. Money, Jason Storm, and the good guy, CJ Black. It was almost like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But now they've become this place where a who's who of people in the backyard wrestling circuit have certainly made a home. You've obviously been a huge part of their history recently. James Taylor, the legendary nemesis James Taylor, is the owner of ROEW now. The outsider, Jack Delta, you certainly had a war with him that people will talk about for the ages. So many other stars have made a home in ROEW. Big Man Cam, and we've got the whole thing about pizza and certainly ROEW. What's going on there? I don't know. Darkron and Matthew Forsaken and Joe Storm have made a home in ROEW, and I'm sure we'll see many other great names come to ROEW. And also, oh, by the way, how about my guy who's the PWF champion, Justin Parsley? He just wrestled Jack Delta there. So there's some pretty good competition that now holds a home in ROEW. And I have no doubt that we'll see many other great names if they desire to come to ROEW in the weeks and months to come. But I think it's a good time to announce it here because I want to go right to the top because I know a lot of people are tuning in. I see a lot of ROEW people in the chat right now. So for those that are listening and watching here, in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, live this Friday night in prime time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, ROEW goes officially into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame after surpassing 1,000 subscribers. And Aaron Blaze, You had some legendary matches in ROEW for sure with the likes of Jack Delta and C Money. And C Money, congratulations to him. He's the Prestige champion. And Jack Delta sits on top, and he's the man. Oh, by the way, one ranking ahead of you at numero uno in the BYW Hub rankings. And you're certainly invited to be here for that ceremony and that show that we're going to be talking about a long time on Sportswire Radio's history. And congratulations to everybody in ROEW, and I hope that you'll join us. And I'm looking forward to history as ROEW becomes one of the handful of companies to go into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. It's about damn time they hit 1,000 subs. I even told certain people that it wasn't going to take them as long as they thought it was going to take to reach 1,000.
Well, I'm trying to get to 1,000. I'm still a little behind him.
just a tad bit, though. Just a tad bit.
I know. I'm less than 100 away, but it's funny because I'm at 906. I'm 905, 906, 905, 906. But yes,
I think you only needed 92 left the last time I checked, but it's been a minute since I checked. But
good deal. Well, at 92, I'll feel better about that. But ROEW has made it, and I think it's a great story because ROEW was this company, really, if you think about it, a year and a half ago, who knew who ROEW was? I mean, they were in the Backyard Wrestling Nexus, and they were there kind of out of the Nexus, and they kind of were a company that consisted of a couple of people, and it was just CJ Black and C Money and with Jason Storm, and now they've become this place that's literally the hub of the backyard wrestling circuit. We've seen guys in the IMF show up there, Soldier GP, Omen Black. We've seen James Taylor, the owner now of ROEW, Big Man Cam. You've been a part of it. Darkron, Matthew Forsaken, Joe Stone. I mean, it's a slew of names, really, some of the very best in the backyard wrestling circuit alongside certainly Justin Parsley. How about not too bad of a name you shared a locker room with? And ROEW has become this hub, and it's really a great success story. I mean, it's really a great American dream, small business success story. I think in many ways more inspirational than the TBW story because TBW has been on top for a long time. We love TBW on this platform dearly. And oh, by the way, C Money wrestled Atomic Titan on July 4th, and maybe that gave ROEW its greatest independence, and it put ROEW over the top, some would say. And ROEW's just had good news after good news and big name after big name coming in, and I have no doubt that the best is yet to come. But to me, this is really a story for just never giving up, just defying the odds, quality over quantity, and just keep going and having a vision. And ROEW's had it. You've been a part of it. You've definitely helped. Obviously, recent acquisitions. Justin Parsley, his time there recently helped. I have no doubt. Big Man Cam has been a big part of that. I mean, obviously, the guys in the IMF last year, they played a huge part in that. Them going there to travel, I think that certainly was a big deal. I mean, what Jack Delta's done, recreating his career, I think, in a way we've never seen before. I mean, Darkron and Matthew Forsaken, Joe Storm. I mean, just really, Joe Stone, I mean, he's definitely put a storm up there. He's got one of the biggest viewed ROEW shows in history. But, I mean, this is one I think that really is for anybody out there that if you feel like giving up, if you feel like that you don't have the support and you feel like that, you know what, I don't think it's going to happen. Well, you know what? You just never know what can happen. And here is ROEW with over 1,000 subs. And, ROEW, they've got more subs than companies that come on here regularly. They've got more subs than companies that hail all these hardcore and independent wrestlers. You want to throw in names, throw them out there. But the facts are is that ROEW deserves this. It's a victory for everybody that's gone out there and wanted to dream. It's a victory for everybody that traveled and believed in the vision of ROEW. ROEW with their Friday night face-off shows certainly sets the bar each and every time. ROEW's become a company that everybody stops. Look at their last show has 27 likes already, 300 plus views in a matter of 48 hours, just give or take. I mean, their show before that, Meltdown, has close to 700 views. I mean, ROEW has become a company that a lot of people pay attention to. Jack Delta versus Justin Parsley, your match with Jack Delta. I mean, JX, well, if he's in ROEW still. I mean, we've got a whole list of names. Big Man Cam. Who can forget about Big Man Cam and Jack Delta? The whole thing with the ROEW World Championship. Yeah. James Taylor, his 130,000 followers that he has on social media. You know, he's certainly helped big time with ROEW, giving them legitimacy, giving them credibility, because this is a guy that, you know, he starred on TBW TV. He was a guy, a big draw in TBW. Him taking over, if you look at the last 6 months of ROEW, this is a company that went from probably 400-ish, 450 to now where we are today with 1,000 subs, and you played a huge role in that. And congratulations to you and everybody else in ROEW that's certainly been there and crossed and made a difference to get them to where they are today in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame this Friday, 9 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that because there's a little thing I want to cross since there's going to be a handful of people there. And
I'm expecting a lot of ROEW roster members. From what I've been told, that there will be a lot of ROEW personnel and members of the locker room that some of them may not share eye to eye, but for probably 15 or 20 minutes in that speech, they're going to put aside their differences and they're going to be unified and they're going to be here for this historic moment. I think in some ways, this is going to be one of the most historic moments in Sportswire radio history because this really was the true definition of a mom and pop small business success story. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress the impact of this because if you're anybody out there and you feel like giving up, you feel like, you know what, this ain't going for me, this ain't working out. These guys in ROEW, let me tell you something. These guys in ROEW, they have made a difference and they didn't give up. And that shows to anybody out there. I don't care if you're on a trampoline. I don't care if you're on the ground, you're on the floor. I don't care if you're hanging by the ceiling. I don't care if you're in a fancy ring. If you're not in a fancy ring, no ropes. ROEW, from what it was a year and a half ago to 9 months ago even. This is a story that you follow it, you don't give up, you keep trying to perfect your craft, you keep trying to grow, you keep trying to reach out to anybody and everybody, you too can have the success. You too can have the success. And you can join the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But not only that, you can grow and see the subs, see the views. And I think that this is really a victory for everybody in backyard wrestling because, you know, I hear it all the time. You know, there's this toxicity and people don't like this, people don't like that. There's a BYW Hub rankings. This wanker doesn't like it. That wanker doesn't like it. Person should be ranked here. This person shouldn't be ranked there. We got all these problems, and this one promoter doesn't like that a video was posted. Another promoter gets mad at everybody. There's backyard havoc. This promoter don't want that guy there and that guy there. He wants to show up in it, but it's not his show. But the facts are, ladies and gentlemen, Sportswire Radio and backyard wrestling is about freedom. Sean Jovi said it best last night. The backyard wrestling circuit is about freedom. It's about being here and doing what you want to do. It's not what somebody else says. It's not about Facebook posts. It's not about who ranks, who doesn't rank. And ROEW, they live by that term, freedom. You see people from different places that work in ROEW that may not necessarily have ever would worked with each other. And that's what the whole idea of All Wrestling Matters and open collaboration is about. And this is why this is a victory for everybody, yourself included, and anybody. You know what? It's a victory not just for people in ROEW, but I think for everybody that's a fan of this platform, because the facts are time and time again, I hear backyard wrestling. Everybody's toxic. Everybody doesn't get along. I hear this person don't like that person. I hear every single little thing. But you know what? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. This is a victory for the people. And this is why I go out there and put a Hall of Fame out there. This is why I go out there when wrestlers need help. When they say, you know what? I need $10. I need $20. When wrestlers say to me, can you buy my merchandise? Or when wrestlers go out and reach out to me and they want to have a few minutes just for a chat, I give them the time. Maybe their home promoters don't give them that time. Maybe those in the locker room they work with don't give them that time. But you better believe on Sportswire Radio, because we are from the people. We are by the people, for the people. And remember what I said in my 9/11 speech. United we stand, divided we fall. So you know when you come here, you get treated right. I can't guarantee on your home promotion. I can't guarantee that. But what I can guarantee is you're going to get a fair shake here. And that's why here on this platform, we focused about wrestling. It's now wrestling first here. We're all Wrestling Matters. You know, some people out there talk about make America great again, or they talk about America first. Well, you know what I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen? We're putting wrestling first now on Sportswire Radio. In addition to all Wrestling Matters, that's what it's about here. You know, people can go out and they can have their own problems with their own backwards promoters, and they can have those that can't put out their editing correctly, and those out there that, you know, put the same old stuff out there. But on Sportswire Radio, you bring that somewhere else. We're here about the people. It's united we stand, divided we fall. And that's why I'm very proud to have ROEW in the Hall of Fame. And I tell you what, I can't wait to put more promotions in the Hall of Fame, because on September the 26th, when those guys in Iowa are here, I'm going to have an announcement for them, because you know what they said in their video on YouTube? They were talking about how many times who's been in the Hall of Fame, who's not been in the Hall of Fame. But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You better tune into that, because I'm going to have a couple of announcements, because I'm a man, a charitable man, that gives back to the community. I promise people, you have my word. There is no person. Let me tell you something. Before, I know I'm cutting you off for a second, but now I'm going to.
You're fine. This is still your show.
I want to say this, because people know you have my word. My word is worth almost more than anybody else's out there, because when I say I'm going to buy your shirt, when I say I'm going to bring you here, when I say I'm going to treat you right, that's what we do here on Sportswire. When somebody's show wants a ticket, when somebody's show wants a plug, whatever it is, I'm going to make sure I go that extra mile, because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, trampoliners, ground wrestlers, no rings, no rope, hardcore, deathmatch, indie, backyard, underground, you name it. It's all Wrestling Matters. It's wrestling first. And ROEW, I can't wait to celebrate with all of you. 9 o'clock Eastern time. Take it away there, champ.
Took the words right out of my mouth with some of that stuff. Yeah, so with the whole ranking thing, first of all, whoever runs the rankings, I'm honored you even put me on there, because I really don't care about that stuff no more than I care about Mike Lopez's best wrestler of the year thing. It's meant and designed to be for fun.
Right.
But in hindsight, what I don't like about it, not with the people that do it, but it's just how certain people act when they're ranked a certain way. And I think you can already tell what I'm trying to hint at, but it's like the last person who was number one, when realistically they're not number one in anything but participating.
Yeah, we know who that is. We know who that is on this platform. Yep.
Well, hence why you can look at the white bar of mine. I said UWA.
Yeah.
Heritage
Oh, we know who that was. I know who that is.
BYW Catalyst.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up ROEW, because I really do feel like for the past 6 years I've been doing this, I've been showcasing that I'm a catalyst. Because the last time I checked, in order to be a catalyst, you have to do a select few things that it's like a cause and effect thing that leads into the up and coming next generation. You know, like you're building for something new and you're having people follow your movements. Like, I consider Jack Delta a catalyst.
Yes.
In a sense, absolutely. But the way I look at that parallel is he's a catalyst for like the tippity top of all the bigger guys like Matt Thunder, Maximus Roman, Christian Archer. God, who else?
He's kind of the bridge to the last BYW generation, if that makes sense.
And then there's the lower tier. Like, there's that middle ground of who's there, who's like next up there.
Right.
And then I'm not trying to sound like I have an ego. That's where you look at me. I mean, Division Nick,
Yes.
Captain or Jackson
And
Law,
you wrestled Division Nick in another promotion.
Kurt Adams. Like,
Yes.
I've done a lot of big things with a lot of talented people that aren't really up there with the best around, but they could
Sure.
be the best around.
Sure.
And regardless of what people say about this, I've made a platform that I want to use to help out the next generation. How, in contrast to how I really wasn't helped by the generation before me, I want to use YBW or whatever pull I have on social media or whatever to bring guys up. Guys like STBW, guys from CSW,
Yep.
the whole shebang of all these, kids that certain people make fun of and look down upon and don't think they're about anything. The guys in BCW like Maxwell
Yes,
Reeves,
Maxwell's going to
all
be
that.
here on October 1st. Maxwell's back in the house in
Awesome.
the afternoon. He's
Great.
here, yes.
Like,
and Caden Gallows is next weekend as well. Well, though I have to change the day, but he's here next weekend. So,
and that's what I want to do for the next generation. That I think that's what we all should be doing, because self-admittedly, there's a lot of people, including Delta and Frost and guys from BTW and whatever, who kind of looked down upon me and YBW and little shit I was doing. Now all of a sudden I'm working with them on the regular, and they're like some of my greatest friends. So I'm not gonna say a certain Catalyst's name who centered their entire CBW debut around using my moveset and butchering it. I just wish that in order to be a legend and in order to be the best, you have to be willing to make, how do I want to word this? Like, make places you work with looked their best, because that also reflects on you.
Yeah,
and I feel like there's just a lot of people that don't do that.
I think that, listen, anybody, and that's why I'm a believer, again, in open collaboration. And I think ROEW is a huge example of that, because I think at the end of the day that we all should be trying to help each other. Together we win. I say it all the time. And I say it that everybody should want to work with each other. Doesn't mean everybody has to be singing Kumbaya or going out there for Christmas dinner or whatever else you might want to do. But I think legitimately at the end of the day, everybody should want to go out there and, see who's the very best. And I think that's the spirit of things. Gabe Sayers talked about an underground wrestling alliance. I think that's one of the greatest ideas that I've heard, because it gives people, it's almost like bringing the territories back. Right. And he's a guy, as an example, that goes out there and works places. He goes to work in places down south that, they can't figure out the editing. They can't do certain things, but he used his name to try and go out and help them. That's what it's about. The guys in Iowa, IMF, they've gone to everywhere. They've traveled everywhere they could to go out. It also helps them. And I think that's what it should be about, open collaboration. So I think at the end of the day, really, to me, that's what this is all at the end of the day for. Not about these, petty fights. That's why we've said we're going back and focusing on the rest. Because you know what? I really don't care if promoters don't. I know there's one in the South, one in the Midwest that doesn't like me, one guy that wants to be at Backyard Havoc, but said if for whatever reason, if I'm not there, he's not showing up. Well, pal, I'm the one that created the event. So for whatever reason, I wanted to magically fall on the helicopter and show up to Bremen, Ohio. Yeah, I'm going to be there, and you got to go hit the bricks. But I'm not going to do that because I'm a gentleman. But the facts are, at the end of the day, to me, it's about putting people and giving them the opportunities and giving the chances to connect. That's why now we have these Discord chats now. All Wrestling Matters. I'm going to give the Nexus credit. We have a Discord group there. I'm going to give people credit, like James Taylor, Promo Wrestling Federation, all the Facebook groups that I'm in. That's what it's about, connecting with people, giving people an opportunity, because at the end of the day, if I stick to my fiefdom, that's great. No question. I can do what I want, but really, as a YouTube product, let's see who's the very best. As for the rankings, listen, at the end of the day, I don't really know who's number one, number two. This isn't college football polling. This isn't college basketball's polls. I really don't know.
No one wins anything.
I don't really know what it means, but if it gets people talking, people have fun. Okay, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to get in the business of doing it. One wrestler was like, well, why don't you create your own ranking? And like, no, I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that come here. I personally I don't know enough about wrestling, to be honest. I'm not Copper Dragon. Copper Dragon is the perfect person to do a ranking system. He watches everybody's matches. I don't have enough insights, admittedly, on wrestling I mean, I can tell you, I can watch a match, I can give you commentary. I don't know every
Right.
move per se, but I think, look, a rating system is coming. If it's giving people something to talk about, I'm all for that. Listen, I'm not a believer. I don't tell people what to do and what not to do. I'm not in the business. If you want to wrestle in any company, if it's trampoline, ground, floor, mat, you want to show up in Backyard Havoc, Backyard Brawl, you want to show up at Summer Bash, Riot in the Ring, All Wrestling Matters, Hardcore Tournament, Best in the Yard, you want to show up at all these events, I'm all for that. My only gripe, really, at the end of the day, when we're going to keep it to wrestling, is that when promoters say certain people can't talk to this person and that person and blah, 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 because then what you're doing is you're just being what you say you're not to be. So, but I think what we've done here is we've gone back and focused on really putting the people back to what it is. Together we win, wrestling first, all wrestling matters. And I think, look, the rankings gets people talking. Are some guys that are undergrounders, some guys who are indies, going to be upset if a backyarder is ranked a certain way? Probably. But I think also there is one sense to be taken into that, is that, look, to be on a trampoline for the rest of your career, should you do that? That's a question you would have to decide between you and your God. I think some people do have an opinion. They're entitled to it. But look, I enjoy it. I share the BYW Hub rankings, but I share everybody. Anybody, you want to tag me on Instagram, I'll tell you right now, if you're Gabe Sayers, you're Chase Sullivan, I got 30 people watching this. I don't even care if you don't like me. If you're XCW, Resurrection, any IMF, TBW, any company out there, if you like me, don't like me, all you have to do is tag me on Instagram as a collaborator, and I'll share it. And guess what? I've got another Instagram page, PWF_network. You can tag me there and I'll share it. So I'm about sharing. I'm about collaborating. I'm about supporting. And I think the BYW Hub, there's intentions that I think it gets people talking, and that's good. I mean, that's the way I see it. You're ranked number 2, and congratulations.
Yeah, and obviously, I wasn't really surprised if we were looking at it from a specific perspective, because Delta's are always going to be ranked number 1 as long as he's around within the community. That's kind of a given. It's just, yeah, the way certain people act with not even just rankings, but what they've been doing recently. And it's just I don't know. It's kind of like, correct me if I'm wrong, but backyard and underground wrestling has kind of, in a sense, been in a weird place.
It's
Like
been
with
a
a lot of
weird
things
year.
that have
It
been going
has been
on,
a
like
weird.
the
It's been a
ESW
weird year.
thing.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. I didn't take any. Again, I'll be completely honest. Osiris came here. He's a friend to Sportswire. I had on Austin G. I think a lot of people weren't impressed, and we're wrestling first on Sportswire. So for me to get in the middle of that, I wish him well. I wish him well. Whatever they want to do, I hope that they're successful, and I hope that whatever they want to do, it works for them. But I have a lot of people that do want to be here, and for me to take away a spot from them, people from all over the world. Yoshi Matsuda is coming back to Sportswire in a week or two. I mean, we have people from all over the place. We have independent wrestlers. Andrew Lovelace and Max Strong's in the house Tuesday. I mean, we literally give everybody an opportunity. We have Skrilla, the legendary Skrilla, who's been in MLW, Peanut Butter Falcon.
Okay.
He's here on the 28th. I mean, we get everybody here. So for me, to take an opportunity and spend time in that, for something I'm not versed in, I wish him well, and that's the gist of it.
No, I agree. I agree. Uh, yeah, it's just been very, very weird. But on the plus side, there has been some decent chunk of success with what everyone in some capacity is doing. Uh, I just feel like there's only a short chunk of it that's actually, telling a story, getting a point across, and getting people to feel for something that actually brings in an audience to not just their respective promotion, but the community at large.
Well, I think that everybody, and I think that's why you said it. You coined the phrase here a few weeks ago, your last appearance here, as a matter of fact, that this is the only place where everybody kind of congregates. If I'm a trampoliner, if I'm a mat wrestler, if I'm a guy on the ground like an ALW, if I'm a hardcore wrestler like a Jimmy Controversy, or if I'm like a Mikey Anarchy type, for example, if I'm an indie wrestler, like let's say a Tarzan Duran's been here, or I'm a Skrilla upcoming, or Andrew Lovelace and Max Strong as examples, or if I'm kind of the underground scene, kind of, again, guys like, again, NEW is an example, IMF, or if I'm traveling guys like yourself, Mr. Delta, obviously names like D'Angelo the Flame, who's coming back here in a few weeks. And there's guys like Gabe Sayers, who's the total, savant. He's everywhere. GTS wrestles Grimm. He wrestles in Resurrection Wrestling. And, you got James Taylor. So really, this is the only place that you get a chance to see everybody we had Eddie Exile a couple of days ago. I think Eddie Exile's pound for pound one of the better people that I've had a chance to interview in terms of what he brings to the table. There's been some really good people that we have here, but this is the only place. And what happens sometimes is that people kind of sit in their cocoon, in their bubble. And that's why, people might see the views for some places might be more than others, but this is the one place. You know what? Maybe I liked what I heard from All Legendary Wrestling. How about this guy, Judas? He was born out of Sportswire Radio. You talked about trampoliners and sticking up for them, STBW. Those guys in the WC, they're taking that bull by the horns. WC's, a lot of people have said a lot of things about WC, but WC just put on, I think, one of their best shows in a long time, and WC's got people talking in a way that they haven't had any good publicity in a long time. And those two companies need each other. They're working together. That's born from here. The Backyard Havoc. That's something where you're getting to see some of the very best talents in the Midwest that are going out there. You got guys like Darkron, and give it up to Darkron, everybody. Give it up to him for taking his beautiful home in Bremen, Ohio, and hosting that event. You got guys like from all over the place, ROEW. You got people from XCW. You got people from ALW, DKW. You got a whole list of great talents. TBW. Give it up to Joshua Allen. How about that? You got, again, we talked about the Backyard Brawl. We got next year's Best in the Yard, Riot in the Ring. Summer Bash 3 is taking place. We have a slew of people that they've been born from here because people got a chance to hear them speak, whether it's Judas, whether it's Nolan Money McDermott. Yesterday, I think he's on the road back to being a name that people are going to remember. There's a whole list of people that get born from this platform, whereas if we didn't have this, again, nothing wrong with that, but where would people be? Every night I'm here, there's somebody here, 7, 8 people watching on YouTube, and there's people that they would like to be here. How about the guys? Give it up to them in BTW, Comatose, and give it up for RJS, Jacob Frost. They're going to be here tomorrow night after Monday Night Raw, and RTG. He's their Continental Champion. He's going to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And that company, right, on the trampoline, they just hit 3,000 subscribers. And get this, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to have a ring soon. So they're thinking, and they've been moving the goalpost more and more each time. And I think that's what you get from being here. Rad Dad talked about the GBYWN. Why is that important? Because the legendary Sick Rick is going to be here Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. He's going to talk about the history of the GBYWN. We got a huge show coming up on September 28th to 29th in Pittsburgh. He's wrestling on that. Rad Hazard is wrestling in that. So you're getting here. This is the only place that you get everybody to congregate. So I think in some ways, are we divided sometimes? Maybe. Is it a weird time? Well, it's always weird. Life is weird. But I really think at the end of the day, you're getting a chance to at least see people, and you can decide, almost like going to vote, right? People vote for candidates, whether they like them or don't like them. But when you receive something in the mail, you get a chance to read up on who the candidate is of your choice. Well, on this platform, it's kind of like that. You get Sean Jovi. You're here tonight. BTW's here tomorrow. Sick Rick is here Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got, again, Max Strong and Andrew Lovelace. Bentley, the legendary vigilante of pro wrestling in the UK, our first UK interview in almost 4 months. He's here. You get a chance. You got Steven Storm, the BCF3 from BTW. He's here Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. ROEW's here Friday. You get pretty much everything here, like Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. And I think that's why we need something like this. Are we divided? I don't think we are as divided as people say. And I think this platform gives at least people an opportunity to say, you know what? Maybe I heard Judas. Maybe you know what? Maybe I got to check out ALW. Big Man Cam's another guy. He came onto this platform 4 months ago. He was a huge part of Summer Bash. He's one of the guys that's been working on the Backyard Havoc. Look at the guys in Iowa, the IMF. They came here. They went to James Taylor's show first, but they got their most exposure here. You know, you look at D'Angelo LaFlame. He's a darling on the internet. He's a man right behind you in the traveling scene. He came here a bunch of times. Everybody knows him. I think the guys in NEW, you know, Riot in the Ring, All Wrestling Matters, Hardcore Tournament. How about them? You know, Brandon Costelli was here last week. You know, a lot of people have said a lot of things about DBW here, but we had, I think, one of the best conversations we've ever had with DBW. Silas Walker was here. You know, Big Tex. You get everything and everybody. Tarzan Duran was here. I mean, so this, at the end of the day, all the stars that have been born here may not have been born here. WCE's back. WCE is on the way back. Craven Rage maybe had his best promo ever on Sportswire. You get that here. You don't get that anywhere else. You ain't getting that on Vortex. You ain't getting that on Rundown. You definitely ain't getting that on whatever video they put out in Indiana. I mean, you ain't getting that here. You're getting it here. You're not getting it there. Find me a place you're getting. I'm serious. No shade on Vortex. No shade on XCW's reruns. I mean, but you get this here. You know, and that's what it comes down to.
Okay. No, I agree. I agree. And in the mix of that, I've been keeping an eye out for almost everything that's been going on and been trying to get at least a couple more decent trips in before 2024 closes for me, before I handle some business at the end of this month and all that other juicy good stuff. But yeah, the only problem is figuring out where number 20 would be, because I think that would put me, realistically speaking, because other people can't count companies correctly, that would still put me in the running for the second most traveled backyard underground wrestler of all time. And I want to be the most traveled of all time, but I just want to get rid of that odd number of company appearances. And I don't know if I want to go the route that I did with just picking one place and then all of a sudden it happens, because I spoke debuting into ROEW in existence somehow earlier this year, and it's still funny to me. It's just figuring out when, where, what's on the table, and who's there, and what do I want to get out of it. And I really want to figure that out.
Well, I mean, there's companies in the chat, and I'm going to definitely shout them out in a few minutes. And before I do that, that's Aaron Blaze's Instagram page. So if for whatever reason you're not following Aaron Blaze now, go hit that follow button and maybe give him a direct message after I give him the message of companies that I have in mind that you haven't been to. So, you know, it's interesting.
Help me get 700 followers, please.
Well, I definitely think there's about 20 people in the YouTube right now watching, about 15 or 16. So if there's at least 5 or 6 of you that have not followed Aaron Blaze, all you have to do is hit Aaron Blaze. Very simple, straight to the point. His logo's there, all the information. Go follow and join and maybe figure out who's next. So I obviously think there's a couple of companies off the top of my head that come to mind for you. There's about 5 of them. I'm going to list them names. You tell me what you think. I'll go in geographic order first. Geographic order, you got DBW. Brandon Costelli, I mentioned, was here. DBW, Silas Walker. We know the history there. Silas is a friend of the platform. He's a friend of mine. He was here not too long after you were here in July. That obviously is, I think, at the list of geographic order. NEW, obviously all the guys there. D Savage, Power Surge, Jake Dvorak. You sort of have some history there. They're next geographic. Number 3, I think comes to mind, All Legendary Wrestling, Big Man Cam, his company, Marion, Ohio, kind of almost in a way a brethren to YBW. You guys kind of have the same setting. They probably have some different things. You guys have some other different things. That's a place I think right off the bat would come into. You want to throw DKW in there? Fine by me. I'll throw DKW, ALW, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Then I'm going to go to a couple of other places. You talked about SGBW, Kewanee, Illinois. Boy, you've already shown that you like those guys, and you definitely have been preaching support to them. They're on the list. How about those guys in Wisconsin? Craven Rage, Sinister, whatever he calls himself, Sean Jovi, America's resident rock star. And then we got, well, that company in Iowa. I mean, a lot of big names have gone there. You haven't gone there yet. And then there's one, to me, that I think almost far west. Go west, young man. Almost to the great American West, the great outdoors. And Oregon's kind of that state in BTW. BTW to me is going to be the next frontier. That's going to be the next frontier next summer. When they get that ring, BTW is going to be the frontier where guys like yourself, guys like maybe Mr. Delta once again, guys like Mr. LaFlame, anybody else, even the guys in Iowa, maybe they should consider. And then, I have to throw one in there, even though your history is kind of what it is, that company in Tennessee called TBW. So I threw out there a bunch of places you haven't been to. So you tell me what your thoughts are on all of them, because I know a lot of these companies are going to certainly be paying close attention to this one. So what do you think on those companies I listed about promotion number 20 you're showing up to?
Yes, and 100 times yes. I can't confirm going out to a couple of them because I've already tried. But I have thought about 2 things in particular, 2 specific places, and it's all about timing and who's on the radar. IMF and the Backyard Havoc. I don't know what would happen for me going into the Backyard Havoc, and I sort of have an idea of everyone who's going to be there. But, the one person that you and I have talked about either last time or the time before, the last time I was on here, about me facing him at the Backyard Havoc, but I don't know if he's gonna be there because I don't know how the television thing went and what he's really doing with traveling nowadays. But a thought that goes in the back of my mind is the headline versus the real energy of the room.
Ooh, well, you know what? That's a
money match.
That's a match. You know what? I have wanted to see that match going back to your first appearance here. You came onto Sportzwire Radio. You know how I remember this? You came here the day that my mother got married. That's the day you came here on Sportzwire Radio. Yes, you came here, and I had you first, and then I went and showed up and put on, I think, a WCE shirt and showed up to a wedding down the block from my house and went back to speak with Craven Rage. But that's 4.5 months ago. That's a match I've been wanting to see even longer than that, because I had D'Angelo LaFlame on the show many times before you came on here. And that is a match that would sell a lot of tickets. That is a match that would get a lot of interest out there. And, I know D'Angelo LaFlame is going to Shock's party. Of course, Shocky Boy is a good friend of mine. Obviously, House of Misfits Entertainment. They're here before October 12th. He's going to upstate New York. I don't know if that's a place you're going to visit or see Mr. LaFlame there, but in Bremen, Ohio, with so many of your brethren that you've seen in places like ROEW, XCW, CBW, and ALW, DKW certainly is as a whole. I mean, you and D'Angelo LaFlame, you know what? That's a match that should have happened at Summer Bash. So I would love to see this match happen right now on November 9th to 10th, and really one of the first shows that we've ever seen, a full super show. I mean, it's the first that I could think of in recent memory. So to see you and him at the Backyard Havoc, I mean, as a man that came up with the idea of the event, it was born on this platform with Judas, you better believe I'd love to see that.
Well, I would, but there's I kind of want to do a double header if I'm going to head out to Backyard Havoc, because there's
Mm.
another guy that I kind of have adjacent history with. And me and him, we are way too much alike. We're both loudmouths, but extremely talented.
Ooh.
We both have accomplished a decent chunk in our careers. We both have history with Division Nick.
Oh, I think I know where this is going. Oh, I can't wait. Let's. I want to hear this. I think I know who it is.
And I've been wanting to do this match for a while, and we were somewhat gonna do something like that. Ironically, in UWA, the first run I had down there, and he was still there at the
Mm.
time. I still want to get that match with Anthony Steele, and
Oh!
I don't know if
Anthony Steele, the real deal. Anthony Steele, the most controversial figure in backyard and underground wrestling history. A man that's even more controversial than you. A man that's so controversial that XCW, TBW in the past, Resurrection, their roster, they're not even allowed to talk with him. IMF brought him in. It's almost like when Vince McMahon brought the NWO in all those years ago. I mean, Anthony Steele, the Anthony Steele, you want a match with him?
him and D'Angelo Flame, and if the stars align for Backyard Havoc.
And that's the only place that could happen because with your history with you and him in XCW, that ain't happening. Resurrection, no chance in hell. There's less than no chance in hell that happens. And then, I mean, TBW, you've never worked there, and I mean the history with you and TBW.
Realistically, I mean, if we can cut the brakes on that for a second, I technically do work only 15 minutes down the road. It's just a matter of certain people answering their phone. But I've been keeping my eyes on what they're doing. I've been looking out for a trendsetter. I've been keeping my eyes on the real ringleader, and I've been paying attention to, in my opinion, a false prophet. And in the sense of gold or silver, I've never won a TriStar championship. So, I mean, I can really make things a bit chaotic if a phone call were to
But wait a
be
minute, though.
held.
You're the UWA Heritage Champion, though. Is that possible to go to that other promotion, TBW? I mean, you're the UWA Heritage Champion. Is that something that could work? I mean, again, because you're the UWA Heritage Champion. Now, I'm a UWA guy through and through, and I'm a TBW guy through and through. I mean, TBW is in my Hall of Fame, and UWA just had probably, I think, one of their most visually successful shows to see. And you mean to tell me that that's something you've considered?
Well, like I've said in the past with that whole thing, because I know there's this divide within that section, I have always been told by a handful of people within the place that gave me an opportunity first that they do not mind as long as it doesn't interfere with what we're doing.
Okay.
And I've stated numerous times, I'm always going to put UWA first. And if the roles were flipped in an alternate universe, I'd say the same thing about TBW.
Oh, if you were in Lafayette, it was UWA. Okay, that's fair. But so you think that that's something you would like to do, though? You would like to wrestle some of those guys in TBW. Could happen in the Backyard Havoc then? You could potentially wrestle some of those guys. Alan Michaels and Chaotic, they're confirmed for the Backyard Havoc. I'm sure you're aware of that. They're confirmed for it. And that could be a middle ground. I don't know the history. I don't get into companies' business and who they sign, who they don't know. It's not my particular business. I look at myself.
Technically, I'm a free agent, and I can really do what I want. But I still, obligations are obligations, and I'm always going to do the right thing and finish obligations before I waltz into a whole new world. But whether it's a middle ground or if it's their battleground, I wouldn't mind trailblazing
Well,
in
I'll
a
tell you what.
different
Let me
yard.
talk about a couple of those companies. We're here with the headline Aaron Blaze. He is the UWA Heritage Champion. He is also the CCW World Champion. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. If
Best
you're here,
host.
please. Well, thank you for the kind words. If you are here on Sportswire Radio, I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I have people praying for me. So if you'd like to alleviate people's prayers, tell your friends to hit the sub button for me. I know there's a lot of people here in the chat. I'm going to get to. There's a lot of people here in the chat, but I would kind of think that a couple of places, though, would be almost like for you to complete your career in a sense. I mean, and I think at the top of the list, those two companies would have to be IMF and TBW. I mean, those would be the two companies that in my top of the list for you to go to that would complete your career in a sense because you've never been to TBW, you've never been to IMF. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, and especially this platform, if you think about what has this platform been powered on, right? This movement of all wrestling matters. You can say anything you want about me, but the facts is that this platform has been powered really by TBW and anybody who's in IMF or has worked in IMF. That includes WCE and DKW and now ALW. So if you think about it, really, in this platform, our success, at least in the backyard wrestling circuit, not underground, backyard, underground, are two separate things. It's IMF and TBW that they've been a constant here in this platform. And you never wrestled in both of those companies. And I think that there is something to that, at least for me. And I think I speak for a lot of those people, my brethren, who were in IMF and TBW. They supported me, and that's always been the question on this platform. Aaron Blaze, IMF, TBW.
Oh, I believe it's possible because there's always been, conflicts with different stars and different promotions, and then over time situations are handled how they're handled, people get over it, and then they start working together again. And sometimes that builds a bigger and better bond. 9 times out of 10, I'm on the side with one other person to where 1 time out of 10 it doesn't work, but
I
you
don't
you
think you have
try,
any
but you
negative
try,
history with
but you
IMF.
try, and that's important. No, I'm just speaking in general, not IMF.
Okay.
But it would complete my career in a sense because there's different things I want to do in my career, but one of the reasons I made a big jump to head to ROEW is because I'm sick of this notion that Aaron Blaze can't hang in the big leagues, or that Aaron Blaze isn't a draw, or that Aaron Blaze isn't as good as he thinks he is, or blah, 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 blah. But yet, in my opinion, and people can take this however they want, I kind of started this whole, in a sense, tradition and movement of all this talent just being sucked into the ROEW vacuum because as soon as I showed up, now Justin Parsley is there, DKW is there, all these other fucking people are there, and it's just like,
Do you feel you don't get any
what?
credit for that? Do you feel that you
No,
don't get
absolutely not. I don't. Unless it's from like the people I work with. Like Delta gave me props because once again, we told a real story. Like real shit. I grew up watching him and
Yep,
idolizing
you were in
him.
that chat on all those matches. We spoke about that
Yep.
here for sure. Absolutely.
And he's one of those people that, doubted me and all that other stuff, but yet when push came to shove, I shoved back like a son of a bitch, and it was one decision on my end that could have changed the entire community in a cyclone. Not a pun to Jason Storm, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it took that one split-second decision, and I could have been here, ROEW World Heavyweight Champion, yada, 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 biggest upset of the year, but we still told one of the greatest stories of all time. Same with Jake for UWA and our
Yep.
match at Final Destination. I was fired 2 years ago from UWA. I left, got better, came back, and
Tristan
became the
Sailor, the
real
whole thing
ace.
with the heritage title gets vacated. You come in and win the heritage title. You won that right about a month before you came to Sportswire. I mean, that was a big thing there in UWA.
Yeah. And like So when certain people say that they're the ace, or they're the catalyst, or they're the best, or that they are on this upper echelon of the community, it's just I I watch almost everything, right? So I can kind of get a feel for what a company is or isn't doing, and a lot of places out there, whether they're alienating or not, aren't really telling a story to the death that I've taken stories this year.
Well, what you did in ROEW and what you've done now in UWA, I mean, UWA, I think, had visually the best show they've ever had. Unleashed, I mean, and what a hell of a show it was. I mean, from top to bottom. I mean, UWA, I think, is doing a great job right now. I mean, there's some great things to watch, and I think you really helped that company immensely. I think behind the scenes and certainly in front as well, because what you've done there is I think you've done way better work there than you did in XCW. I think that there's no question about that. I mean, there's no shade to XCW.
Yeah, that's not even a shot, and I feel the same way. It's just I look back at my run in Indiana a lot, and I question a handful of the stuff I did, especially during the whole scene of 2023 for me. I felt like was my biggest and hottest year. Like I felt like I really did a lot, especially with the feud with Kurt Adams. And then what I did following it was, no offense, below lackluster than where I probably
But I
should
think you
have
were caught
gone.
in that vacuum with a lot of guys, unfortunately, that went there in that run. JX went there. Jacob Collins went there. Certainly,
Jason Storm.
he was there, and I don't even want to go into some of the stuff that was off the camera there.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Delta was there. Soldier, Omen, Dirty, the Midwest Express were all there. So a lot of people, you were a part of that in that vacuum. They even had an indie guy from Illinois that showed up and did some work for them. I mean, so there's no question that that's what it was. But in UWA, I mean, there's some interesting storylines that you're a part of right now. And I think that UWA is actually hitting its stride. I think UWA is one of those companies I want people to go hit that sub button for, because there's some really interesting stuff. I mean, we've got a new champion there, Sammy Slade. I mean, Jake's now the Southern champion. And I mean, you've got the Heritage title and you kind of walked out on everybody. CJ's got no mask, and who knows what the future is there with that. And I think there's a lot of things that I think you have done a great job in, and UWA is, I think, some of your better work in your career.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of my guys won the underground title, which was great.
Fantastic, Baltimore. Yep.
Phantasma
I know I'll always get it
Baltimore.
wrong. I was
It is
actually, I
okay,
knew you were
dude.
going to
It's
correct me.
okay, dude. At least you weren't like freaking At Lame, I'll call him, and his brother. They called him either Phantasma Valadora or they called him Fatisha Vador, and
Well,
it's
I
just
am
like,
not going to be
dude.
that bad. I'm not that bad, but thank you.
No, I'm dyslexic and I can't even fuck up that bad. Jesus Lord, but yeah, Underground Unleashed was something. And match of the night, you're welcome. And I said that Tristan Taylor was just gonna be another vet that tried and failed. And I think he underestimated me. I think he took me lightly, which is a mistake that I think a lot of older, more experienced cats in the game make, and it ends up
But
costing
you're
them.
really the experienced one in your career. I mean, the age may say otherwise, but you're the guy that's actually been to 19 promotions. So in that case, you're really the veteran.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just this weird. I feel weird in a sense when certain people say they're veterans of this, but there's a handful of them that don't have the footage to really back it up or have it documented in any shape, or form. That's just like me saying, oh, I've been doing this since I was 4 years old, wrestling stuffed animals and holding up plastic toy belts, which is the truth, but that doesn't matter for anything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to take your word for it. You're veterans. I expect you to lead me in the right direction. I'm the newer guy. You show me where to step. You hit me with what you got. I'll take the bump, yada, yada, yada. And we'll go from there. That's how I think. And then there's certain people that don't do it. And I'm just like, okay, end one. Let me just start from scratch. Which that's not even me really trying to like shit on anybody and be like, oh, I'm bigger and better than you. It's just there's just certain people that click with it after a while and they still have it, and then there's people that kind of just need that guidance and that little nudge, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it happens to
I
everybody.
still
So.
need guidance. Listen, I need guidance all the time. I mean, I might
Oh
need
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this was a match and a half. Tristan Taylor tried to cheat after he tackled me and I couldn't breathe
Yep.
for a second, so that was fun. But end of the day, 1, 2, 3 after a burnout, still the UWA Heritage Champion. Go figure. And then the rest of the show happens, and we get into the end, and then a very interesting ending, if I do say so myself.
I thought I didn't see that one coming. I did not see that. I mean, CJ, what a fantastic run he had, and congratulations to CJ. But I didn't have that on my scorecard. I didn't have that on my. I didn't see that one coming. I just didn't have any of that.
Which, go figure, overshadowed Slade winning the world title.
Which he's been fighting for the past 7-8
Year.
months, and that basically was the side dish. I think that was that was sort of the whole fascinating thing. I mean, you left and walked out. You had sort of the Bret Hart moment after WrestleMania 12, where you just walked out after Shawn Michaels finally captures the boyhood dream. And I mean, you just walked out, and I guess we'll have to find out. We don't know why you walked out. I mean, I'm sure that UWA fans will want to tune into the UWA's YouTube page at Underground Wrestling Alliance to find out. And a hell of a show, by the way. Again, I really think this was UWA's best visually performance they've ever had. And I think the viewership shows that almost 800 views. So people seem to agree. I think that's a company that's really hitting their stride. I'm really excited about UWA stuff. And I'm really glad to see UWA doing well because you've been here. You're the reason we connected with a lot of guys like Jake and Tristan and Chase Sullivan. By the way, off the topic, but certainly sort of UWA related. Congratulations to Chase Sullivan, by the way. Chase Sullivan is now going to be a father. I want to wish him all the best. Congratulations. God bless him and his beautiful wife. And I definitely think that the best is yet to come for his family. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with them. And I'm sure that we'll see a lot more Chase Sullivan on Sportswire Radio. And congratulations to him and his beautiful family, expecting his first child. Really a monumental accomplishment. And I definitely pray that his family will be healthy and it'll be a beautiful baby. And maybe you'll wrestle the baby in 20 years.
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, Underground Unleashed was something. Definitely another redemption story for me. Seeing as how the first one landed on my head, forced to team with the Eagle for tag titles that still this day I should have won, and lost against Nemesis and Morai, aka Fletch and Corey Lee. So that was definitely a redemption thing. Yeah, I don't know if I want to get into the walkout thing. Let's just say,
Let's move on. We'll certainly go
yeah.
to Underground Wrestling Alliance on YouTube, Instagram, Threads. There was a nice little post show. There was a little fallout thing. And what I want to wind up doing, actually, since Mr. Blaze doesn't want to talk about that, I want to go like this because there's some great stuff you can see on the UWA YouTube page. You can see the aftermath, the recap show, as I said, a post show. You get a little bit of an emotional story from Sammy Slade winning the championship for the first time. Congratulations to him. A lot of great stuff. Like I said, the UWA is doing well. I think when the UWA first came to Sportswire, I think they just were at or just under 500 subscribers. So now they're at 632. So that shows you that when we help each other, we all win. What do I always say? Together we win, wrestling first. This is a company that subs are up 100 plus in the last 4 months. That's no small feat. That shows you that when we work together, you work with this platform, you work with me, I'm going to help you. I'm always about coattails. I talk about it all the time. You're with me, I'm going to be your friend for life. I'm going to go out there and make sure I got your back. Don't worry about what other people say. Don't worry about what other feds, other promoters say. If I have your support, you want my support. My support's the most important support outside of your own promotion that you're going to have. And I think that Jake and the gang are getting that. You're a part of that. We want to thank you for that connection. We want to thank everybody there. Chase Sullivan, Tristan Taylor, Brett Anderson, my buddy Brett Anderson. Want to give him a big shout out. Him and Will Jackson. They're certainly on the way up. ET, big shout out to him. Big shout out to, obviously, Sammy Slade, our champion. I think he did like my Buddy Murphy reference all those months ago. I'm sure that he would like to be with Rhea Ripley, but he's got his own family, so I'm sure he'll plead the fifth on that one. But we love Sammy. We love everybody in the UWA. Tristan,
I plead the fifth, too.
Yeah, and Tristan's my cohort in the PWF. He owns the other PWF half, so we want to thank him for his support and guidance. And I think it's time to get to the chat. I have been letting the chat simmer for over an hour.
Yeah, I forgot all about it. No offense.
That's all right. It's to have you here is like Delta being here, James being here. And oh, by the way, you mentioned Anthony Steele, right? You mentioned that guy, Anthony Steele.
Oh, here we go.
He's in your chair next Sunday night, 9:00 Eastern time. He's in your chair. Anthony Steele makes his return to Sportswire Radio for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. He's the newest member of the IMF. He's proclaimed he's at the Backyard Havoc, and he's got a lot to say. He's got a lot to say, but he's sticking to wrestling. It's wrestling first. And I promise you, Anthony Steele being here, definitely get that popcorn. Make sure that soda's got plenty of fizz. Get that gaming chair. Just sit back. Anthony Steele, the legendary, most controversial figure in backyard and underground wrestling history, multiple-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer, 3-time Hall of Famer, makes his long-awaited return to Sportswire Radio. But right now, let the chat roll because they got a lot to say. Zilla's in the house.
Zilla.
Yes, congratulations to ROEW. And if you haven't yet, please hit the sub button for ROEW. I want to see ROEW get to more subs. I want to see him get to 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, and so on and so on. And I am going to have, I promise you, a really good speech. It's going to be a great speech on Friday, and I'm excited. Abraham Storm, October 3rd, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Young Abraham Storm is in the house. Looking forward to it. Abraham's here, and yes, we say hello. We love Abraham. He's been here. Soldier GP, he heard what you said about the IMF, and it sounded like it's a maybe. Who knows? Yes, Zilla's having a good day. We love Zilla. Zilla's going to be the
one. We got a Zilla face reveal. Did
yes,
you know
and
about
I was going to say Zilla should take over for me on Sportswire. I think it's time for me to retire after tonight.
No!
Zilla can host because Zilla's going to get the viewership up. Zilla's going to get us to 1,000.
No, have Zilla be your manager.
I don't need a manager. My bank account's the manager. That's Zilla's going to take over for me. I'm going to go sit
advocate.
Zilla is going to take over. I'll sit on a beach somewhere and just go out there and count how much money I have. But we'll move on. Chase Wakefield was going to be here in a couple weeks. He's here October 6th.
Nice.
Chase is back in the ring, and he had this weird audio video on his YouTube page. He's going to talk about that. And he wrestled Austin James, who just wrestled in GTS. He's a regular part of GTS. So a lot of moving and shaking.
Austin G. I was about to shit.
No, Austin James. Austin James lives near New Jersey. I don't think Austin G lives near, with all due respect to New Jersey, Tom's River. But yes, how you Soldier GP? We love Soldier. Soldier's back in the house next Thursday, and I'm sure he'll be here Friday because I'm sure anybody from ROEW will be around. Yes, we love Soldier. We're happy to see Soldier. Glad Soldier's doing well. And my fantasy week is going amazing. Now, what would that be? Is your fantasy being in the chat, or is you talking about something else? I mean, I appreciate you being here as a fan.
I
I
hope
about
he's
fantasy
speaking
football,
on
right?
football.
Probably football, yes, probably. But I would think, I wouldn't mind if you say your week on Sportswire was your fantasy. Thank you, I appreciate that. Justin Parsley, who I know will be here next Friday. I know he'll be here. Of course, the man who's been in the Hall of Fame more than anybody else. Oh crap! I thought this was the ATK episode.
Nah.
Should I have brought ATK on instead? Because he's in the Nexus. I could ask Anthony.
Nah.
We can definitely get him on.
Nah, he's probably making up more lies and winning belts that no one cares about.
Okay, because I could get him on. Because I mean, I get along with ATK, and I could certainly get him on. I'm sure Anthony would be happy about that. Shout out to Anthony and the rest of the Nexus. We have Psychotic Freak
his best friend.
Well, Steven Storm is not your best friend. Maybe he will be your best friend. He says, he'll be here Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Brett Anderson. Brett's in the house. We love Brett. How you doing, Brett? Brett, I know I owe an appearance. I owe a lot of people an appearance on Sportswire. Yes, congratulations on being number 2. You were number 2 in the BYW Hub rankings. Congratulations. Want to say hello to Mr. Darkron himself, the man who's going to be here Friday. And by the way, his company, and I want to thank Darkron. He's been sharing my YouTube page on Facebook, but he's actually, DKW is 76 subscribers away from 1,000. So I want to get DKW to get to 1,000. Why do I want to get DKW to 1,000? Because they're going to join the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame too, and they get to 1,000 subs. And I'm going to make everybody's life a lot easier, because if you have not yet subbed to DKW, hit the sub button. And oh, by the way, 1 extra subscriber since I mentioned that. So whoever's out there, thank you for mentioning. And go support our friends. And Darkron, literally, you want to talk about nicest man in the backyard circuit, him and Sean Jovi. Sean Jovi, even yesterday, I can't say anything bad about those guys. I was on a trampoline too. I mean, so that shows you we have some class acts in our circuit. It's not what everybody thinks. So thank you, Mr. Darkron, for all you do for our community, and we hope you're doing well. Yes, Justin Parsley's in the house, and he always looks the same, but that's why he's here. Yes, and Il Drago's in the house. Love Il Drago. If you go to IMF, you and the Samoan Dragon would be a barn bird. That would be a doozy, a slobber knocker, and everybody is fired up. And I mentioned my friends in Roseburg, Oregon. I think they're going to be the next frontier next summer. I think that BTW in Roseburg, Oregon, remember the place.
That's a trip.
You, Mr. Delta, Mr. LaFlame, Mr. Parsley even. I'm telling you, this is going to be the next frontier. As a matter of fact, I want to see these guys hold an event next summer, and I want them to call it the next frontier. Why do I want to call it the next frontier? Because let's kick to the ballistics. Let's kick to the ballistics. Because you got all these talents in BTW that maybe they get shunned a little bit because they're on a trampoline like Swift and BES and RJS and Comatose and Jacob Frost and the BCF3. Well, you know what? Since they're going to have a ring, I want to see a frontier, a next frontier in the backyard wrestling circuit. And I want to see the likes of D'Angelo LaFlame, the real raw energy, Aaron Blaze, the headline, the outsider, Jack Delta, if he still travels. Those boys in Iowa, they always travel. Justin Parsley, how is his frequent flyer miles doing these days? I want to see a who's who of people. You want to go somewhere for a new frontier? And you can test your skills? I mean, think about it. When was the last time the West had a super show? We know that the West is so deaf. We know that the West is so loud. We know that the West is so strong. We know that the West is going to be the next frontier. So let's see it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see it. It's up to those guys in Oregon, but I think they should hold an event next year called the Next Frontier. So here you go. Who's really the best in the West? We'll find out, because like I said, I know that the West is so deaf. The West cannot be stopped. Well, we'll certainly do that. I am from Brooklyn, and that was my survival growing up in Brooklyn. That was my survival. Had to be quick on my feet. That's how I got the big bucks. Hello there, Abraham. How are you doing? Soldier said, I am going to become Soldier 2 belts this weekend because he is squaring off with Jack Delta very soon. It was announced by James Taylor Friday Night Face-Off. So who knows? Stay tuned for that. We'll have to find out. We'll certainly find out. Let's go. Congrats, ROEW. All deserved. Very proud to be a part of it. And I can't wait to be your master of ceremonies. Because think about it. You're going to see ROEW personnel together for only 15 or 20 minutes, right? They're going to be unified. This is a rare time you're going to see James Taylor, Jason Storm, CJ Black, C-Money, Darkron, Matthew Forsaken, Aaron Blaze, Jacob Collins. Is he still alive, by the way? Is he still in wrestling technically? I mean, but those names, some of those names, you're going to see them on screen for a moment, for a brief moment in time. Big Man Kim, everybody's going to be unified because this is a moment that everybody in ROEW earned, and I can't wait. Justin Parsley will be in the house. He's a 6-time Hall of Famer. Justin Parsley's racking things up like he always does. He's racking up Hall of Fame appearances like frequent flyer miles. Gabe. Good old Gabe Sayers. Gabe Sayers, a man who certainly is always everywhere. Speaking about guys who have done frequent flyer miles, and he's also the guy, the brains behind the Underground Wrestling Alliance, which I am supporting 1,000%. There we go there. It sucks we showed up there a week after Mr. Blaze was in ROEW. Wish we could have met him.
It was literally a week? That's crazy.
Well, you're going to meet him Friday night. You're going to meet him Friday night on Sportzwire. You're going to meet him Friday night in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest. Oh, by the way, the following Friday, right after SmackDown, Mr. Anniversary himself, the Hulk Hogan of the backyard wrestling circuit, Ledger Shade, is back on Sportswire. He is back, and he's got his very own movie, the Ledger Shade movie. It's an anthology, 18 chapters of Ledger Shade. Ledger Shade is here. He speaks. We watch. We talk. We watch. We talk. And the one and only legendary Ledger Shade is live in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage. The man that was TBW champion and grew TBW to leaps and bounds to what it is today, from 2,000 subs to 6,000 subs. The man that did it all. Boy, I can't wait for that one. Boy, that's going to be one. If I wasn't a fan of Sportswire like I am, I'd be tuned into and make sure I'm glued. Because Ledger Shade, when he's here, it's going to be one of those moments. Just like Brett returning to Raw in Calgary, Punk in Chicago, Hogan in Montreal. It's going to be the same thing when Ledger Shade comes back to Sportswire. Speaking of
When's he coming back to wrestling?
Y'all can be in the chat and ask him. He's here right after SmackDown, September 27th. He'll be here in the chat. Ledger Shade was.
Chapter 19.
You know what? Ledger Shade, listen, I don't know what his future is in the wrestling world as an active competitor, but people are welcome to ask him. They're certainly welcome to ask him anything he would like, and Mr. Shade will be here. He has been very generous with his time. We appreciate his support, and he's definitely a man that really solidified Sportswire Radio. I mean, Jack Delta certainly got us going in the backyard. James Taylor, IMFWC was the first, but Ledger Shade, to me, him being here on Sportswire Radio almost 4 months ago, that kind of solidified us as a place that you have to be. It's must-see every night because of Ledger Shade. He's coming back. Cannot wait for that one. Be there or be square. Yes, did he say? I did say that. Yes, a while ago. Yes, I did, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
we were way behind the chat. I don't know about that, but I'm sure some promoter won't like that, but that's okay. Ox McCoy, my buddy who made the Sportswire Radio logo. How about it up for Ox McCoy here? Because Ox McCoy, not only does he beat people up, not only does he put them in blood and let them send messages in blood with their blood, he made this logo for me. How about that, ladies and gentlemen?
That's really nice.
Well could be adding Tag Team Championship gold to his arsenal because he's going to be there at the next IMF show and a unification of those Tag Team Championships. So, yes, I did say that. Yes, I did. And I would say it 10 times over, whoever I forgot it was about. You better believe I'll say it. And I have earned that, and I'll say anything I want to defend my people. My people,
Amen.
I will defend my people. I will fight to the death for my people. My people, I will fight for them. I will put myself on the cross for the people of the backyard and underground wrestling circuit. And anybody knows me, they know I'm a man of my word. And that's why we say Sportswire forever. And Brett Anderson, he tells his work colleagues to tune into Sportswire. That's why I got the viewership. It's because of Brett Anderson. He's telling his friends.
Look at Brett bringing in the numbers.
Brett, we love Brett. Brett the Hitman Anderson is here with us. He is the Hitman of viewers. Nicholas Crenton, by the way, who had a lot to say tonight in the WC show. WC had their strongest show in a long time. WC and STBW. That's going to be one you want to tune into after last night. Shout out to the boys in Wisconsin and Kewanee. D'Angelo the Flame. Yes, D'Angelo's back on Sportswire soon. Maxwell Reeves and the BCW boys. You're getting a couple of doses of them very soon. What's up, everybody, from our friends in New Jersey? Word is my bond. People know when you come to Sportswire, you have my word. You have my support. Anybody else? Any other show? Any other place? Yeah. You find out. You come back to me, and I'll tell you that Sportswire is the only place where all wrestling matters. Yes, we say hello to Zilla. We love Zilla. Blaze kind of looks like an old school human tornado.
An old school human.
In the ring, you might move like a human tornado. Maybe we'll find out in Iowa.
That's true.
Hey, everybody. Almost like back in the neighborhood those days in Bensonhurst. Human tornado was him, yo. There you go. Him, a legit legend. Yes. Chase Sullivan, Chase in the house. How you doing, Chase? Hope Chase is. I know you're not too happy about it, but we hope Chase is doing well, and the missus is doing well. And don't worry about it. By and large, the people know who they support. That's all I need to do. I'm not worried about it. Trust me. I might sleep. I've had way worse. I worked in the political world. Trust me on that. What's good, Aaron Glaze? Is that Silver Wolf or is that?
Oh my God, bro! Stop. No, I wanted to forget about that live stream. Oh my God.
Well, is that Silver Wolf? Is that Big Man Cam? But
Big Man Cam, I fucking hate you.
Now, am I getting Big Man Cam or Silver Wolf on Friday's ROEW Hall of Fame show? Who am I getting?
Oh,
that's up to management.
You're getting a dumbass either way.
Well, I'm going to plead the fifth on that one because Big Man Cam is giving me 2 cameos, and I want a third one soon. And I'm sure my big bank account will help me fill that up. Hey, Zilla, Big Man Cam is back. Sup, CSW. Yes, we love Abraham. Abraham, hope you have a good day at school tomorrow. Make sure you get to school on time. Want to make sure everybody, if you're going in high school and college, you better go hit those books. Trust me on that. You hit those books because you don't want to end up like me. This is your brain when you don't go to school. Actually, I did go.
Stop. You were
I'm having fun trying to career stand-up comedy. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But Judas, he's going to be at that Backyard Havoc. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Judas is live next Monday. And he's going into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He's going in there. Judas. He's the ALW champion. He's the future of the Backyard Circuit. You know what? He's the present already because he had the 8/17 moment. I'll tell you what, if you go to Bremen, November 9th to November 10th, you get a chance to meet Judas. You get a chance to meet him. And you know what? ALW and what about ALW and YBW working together? You're in Pennsylvania. They're in Ohio. You guys are both on the ground. I mean,
we haven't had a crossover in 2 years.
With their roster, with Justin, with Big Man Cam, Trey Mysticality, Holden Holloway, the Evil Angel Judas with the 8/17 moment. You got Jerry. I mean, you got some heavy hitters there. I mean, could you imagine? That could be the battle almost for the Northeast and I don't know what you call Ohio. Maybe it's the Midwest or the southern tier of the Northwest, the Midwest, whatever it all is. But, I mean, you guys could have a battle, almost a battle like they're having in Wisconsin and Illinois. I mean, just a thought. Could maybe ALW and YBW collaborate? I'll tell you what. I'm shouting the rooftops for that because I would love to see that battle. Yeah. I mean, that could be, listen, who knows? Red and purple. What is red and purple? Because we know Ohio's red, Pennsylvania's purple. I mean, I know there's a lot of bruises if they go red versus purple. That makes everybody black and blue, right? So, I mean, listen, think about ALW and YBW. I mean, it's almost where the Midwest and the Northeast collide. I mean, maybe it's the battle for supremacy of the Midwest and the Northeast. Who knows what it could be? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? But you know what? If somebody's out there who runs YBW, wink and a nod, or somebody out there who runs ALW, All Legendary Wrestling, and the youth of Backyard Wrestling, Young Backyard Wrestling. I mean, think about it. ALW, YBW.
It's okay.
Young Breakout Wrestling, Youth Breakout Wrestling. It all doesn't matter because, ladies and gentlemen, you take Pennsylvania and Ohio together. Let's just say the forces could collide. The forces could collide, ladies and gentlemen. But let's get to comments because it'll take me all day to come up with the name, and we'll have a group chat, I'm sure, in 6 months about it. Cam, was your picture Silver Wolf's face? Well, he changed it. And, yeah, you had it for like a month, though. Your last appearance on Sportswire. I forgot when it was. And I think Cam just has a special place in his heart and other places for Silver. Yeah, he's a big fan. I mean, he should take over. The new season started yesterday, by the way. The new season of the Dark Den podcast, and I'm waiting for Big Man Cam's next appearance on there. He should go there and promote ROEW there. I tell you what, he could promote XCW on there. If he promotes XCW on there, maybe they'll share that on the XCW Facebook page. I mean, after all, they don't share anything else. But hey, they don't. No, it's a fact. They don't. So maybe Big Man Cam going there, maybe they'll get the XCW to share his appearance on the Dark Den podcast. It's not a shade. It's just a fact. And the doors are definitely open in BCW.
It's still funny.
They don't promote their appearances on this platform. It's like, let's go. I mean, let's go. Get the link going. Get the social media. Come on, let's go. Let's go already. I mean, that's why you only got 1,600 subs. Let's go. Let's go. Support for support. Yes, when we win, we all win here. It's wrestling first. That's my point. That's an example of that. And how about Steven Storm? California. Listen, Bakersfield, California, Sacramento. I mean, listen, the doors are open, but that's what you get here, everybody. We've got Ace Reed from Australia. He wants to come on down to the United States of America. Yoshi Matsuda's talked about different things. This is what it's about. Forget about your own promotion and staying there. Come and collaborate. Come here. Come with the people. Let thy people come. So let thy people come to Sportswire, and you will get your chance to have open collaboration, because all wrestling matters here. We are wrestling first. Let's go on here, because I really am not a singer, but I tell you what, I am definitely going to get
doing
more
a lot better than I would.
Female trampoline wrestlers. That's a question you'd have to ask them directly, but we have females who don't like wrestling. That's why I wanted to let them answer the question. And yes, Chase Sullivan's wife has wrestled. Yes, she has wrestled in
and she's a better wrestler than Sully. But
I'm not going to comment on that. But what I will say is that we are wishing the misses well. And yes, you and Anthony Steele, I would never have guessed that would be a possibility. Now, Mr. Steele is here next Sunday. I'm going to ask him that question. I spoke to Mr. Steele yesterday. We had an at-length conversation about his return to Sportswire Radio. He's here twice next week, and I'm going to ask him about that. He wants wrestling-only questions, and that's a wrestling-only question that qualifies. So Anthony Steele, I will ask him the real deal about this real question that Aaron Blaze has proposed out there about potentially wrestling Anthony Steele. I mean, that's a match. It could only happen in the Backyard Havoc, as far as I know at the moment, unless you're, potentially going to IMF. But you said you're not going there at the moment.
There's other possibilities that I've pitched for. Let's just say.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'd love to see it regardless. I don't care if it's on the phone booth. I don't care if it's on the trampoline, the mat, no ring, no ropes. I don't care if it's on thumbtacks. I don't care if it's on a roof.
That'd be hell.
I want to see Aaron Blaze and Anthony Steele. The battle of the A's. It's the battle of the A's almost. It's
the battle of the assholes. Which
certainly we'll find out about that. Jack Delta, we hope Mr. Delta is doing well. And Silver, it's Silver Wolf. He said Silver. CJ Black, who's going to be here Friday night. We're very much excited about CJ Black and the rest of the ROEW house, and we're glad he's doing good. Obviously, CJ Black had a very successful victory over God. Yes, he defeated God. Very successful win. Certainly,
I wasn't there at Meltdown.
He was a very, very successful participant in his match because Jacob Collins. Now, is Jacob Collins retired? Now, what is that? That's a good. We don't know that. I mean, I'll have to ask James Taylor that question. Love Darkron being here. We love, obviously, our friends in UWA. Big shout out to them. And Abraham Storm, a long time ago, had a question. And what about YBW and CSW? I got Abraham here. I got him here October 3rd. I'm going to ask him that.
I'm more than open to it. That's what I was saying earlier. I want to use YBW and the platform it has to uplift shows like CSW, shows like BCW, so on and so forth. The lower tier, the lesser than, as some people look at it. Like, we all started the same way they did in some shape or form. So there's certain people who I just cock my head sideways at, and I'm just like, fuck you, because some of them aren't any better. Aries, Reeves. But the point I'm trying to make is you never know who could lead tomorrow if you don't even bother looking at them today.
Well, I think with this platform, you're getting that. You're getting stars of tomorrow. STBW, they've gotten really their biggest notoriety from Sportswire. Yes, Tyler Fury has been in the IMF, and they've obviously worked very well with him. But the rest of those guys have been here a lot recently. ALW, I mean, look at Judas. How many times? Judas has been here 3 times already. Trey Mysticality, Holden Holloway. You're getting that here. You're getting Ace Reed. You're getting Yoshimatsu Matsuda here. You're getting new talents, Maxwell Reeves. You're getting everything here. You get that. You don't get that anywhere else. You do not get that anywhere else. Want to say hello to our friends in LBYW. Obviously, we had CJ Junn here on Monday's show.
North Dakota.
Psychotic Freak. Yep, they're North Dakota. They're kind of in their final season, but they're doing sort of still shows and content. So, yeah, that could be one company that's alive next year, but they'll be doing it more in a limited run basis, but they're getting ready to end their season. So, but they are here. CJ, we love CJ. And congratulations, Abraham. Listen, I remember when ALW had 50 subs. Now they have 150 something subs.
Congratulations, right? Brother. That's awesome.
So the best is yet to come. We definitely, that's why I'm going to have Abraham take over Sportswire. I think it's time for me to retire. Abraham, you can live off Sportswire. You can go finish, don't have to finish school. You can take over for me on Sportswire. And
I love that offer, to be honest with you. I mean, I already graduated, but still.
ALW is at 140, by the way. I stand corrected. The West Coast Revival. I call it the Great Frontier. You want to call it the West Coast Revival, but Jacob Frost, that's what you get. And you know what? I hear from the grapevine that Jacob Frost, there's somebody that likes Jacob Frost. That's, well, let's just say a multiple-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. And, well, apparently this individual, he really apparently is taking a liking to Jacob Frost, and he's really taking him under his wing. So I think we're going to see Jacob Frost maybe a couple of times coming up in the next 12 days. Just stay tuned on that. But maybe you and Jacob Frost with that BTW ring next year in the Great Frontier or the West Coast Revival, we'll certainly find out if the West Coast is deaf, if the West Coast is loud and strong. We'll certainly find out. But Jacob Frost is in the house. Somebody liked my name. Somebody liked it. Yeah, well, there you go. Ace Reed's in the house, and Ace, my buddy Ace Reed, we definitely want to say hello to him. And I don't know who you are, but I will say that you should hit the sub button for me because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. I don't know who you are.
It says,
"Hey, Grok,
Go douche."
I don't know who it is, but I hope you hit the sub button so I can get to 1,000 subs.
Wow.
Whoever it is, hit the sub button. Whoever
Emphasis
it is.
on the douche. Got it.
Well, yes. Whoever it is, hit the sub button. I'm 95 subscribers away. Keep going from 94 and 95.
It'd be like that.
How the hell did they? Yeah, we don't know who this is. We got a couple of people. Okay, we'll move on here. Okay, we're going to put this person in timeout, obviously. I see here. Thank you. We're going to take them off the screen. I get the point.
I can't see the comments, so
I took it off because they obviously put too many comments here. So somebody's having a few cold ones. Ohio is the meeting ground. Ohio's almost where the world connects. The worlds collide. You know what? I'll tell you what.
Collide.
You know what? YBW and ALW and DKW, you guys want to have a get-together next year? You guys want to do something? You want to guys do really something that maybe could, I don't know, maybe spark some interest out there? Well, how about Worlds Collide? DKW, ALW, YBW. What does that get? One big world, right? Because if I put the 3 of your rosters together, that gives me one big world. One where worlds collide. Stay tuned. Seen too, but well, I don't know. Well, you've seen him on Sportswire. He's been in the chat. I mean, yes, you've seen him in the chat. Thank you, Soldier, for telling us that you've seen him in the chat because I haven't seen him physically on Sportswire. Have you heard too much from Cam yet? I don't know. I haven't seen him, and I am sure that ALW versus YBW would be a fantastic show. We're here to keep that in mind and possibly make it a headline. You know, what about that, Mr. Blaze, next year? You and the evil angel Judas. Think about it. In the worlds collide, right? Think about that. You and Judas. I mean, he's already basically had the 817 moment. You've been the headline. I mean, you've talked about going to different places, creating new things, working with companies that are on the way up. ALW, they fit it to a T for you. They fit everything that you stand for to a T. To a T. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and I'm gonna have to talk with some members on the roster to figure out certain arrangements,
I
obviously. But
see.
ALW is still on my list regardless, and so is the ALW Championship. Uh, I
I
keep
see.
wanting to. I want to get to 20 on companies and world championships,
Hmm.
so
Well, I mean,
definitely
we've
keeping
still got
my
a couple of
eyes
months
out.
left in this year. We've got, IMF is still around, and we've got the Backyard Havoc November 9th to 10th. I mean, we've got
Mhm.
some other places out there, and ALW would count, DKW would count. So, I mean, if you're looking for somewhere local that isn't too far, I mean, those are companies around there. Thank you, Big Man Cam, but I don't even remember what I sang. You've already shown too much. Let's go. Mad Jack has landed on thumbtacks. He's had worse. There you go. That was my reference of where you and Anthony Steele could wrestle. Soldier,
Thumbtacks suck, dude.
you may as well change GP to PG because you've gone soft pro. We're gonna move on here. We're a family station. He's used to being on Dark Den. He's used to being on the Dark Den, but we actually
Nah,
have
Cam's
viewers.
just wild, bro.
We've
Oh
well,
my god.
we actually have viewers on Sportswire. See, we actually have viewers and subscribers. We have over 900, so we want to move on here.
That's true.
And I also want to give a big shout out to my internet radio station, sportswireradio.org, because we have 9 different podcasts that play. We have wrestling, we have football, we have baseball, we have hockey. So if you like a number of different things, plus we have music that we play, check us out via the Listen Live button. Thank you very much. I would appreciate that. Speaking of guys have you ever heard of a guy named Drake Gold Dragon? You ever heard of him?
Heard of him.
He's
Yep.
the Resurrection Wrestling World Champion, and he was an integral part of Summer Bash. And he wrestled some guy named Moose. You probably heard of him in TNA. And I'm just wondering, maybe that's a name that you'd like to wrestle sometime. Drake Gold Dragon.
See, like, the thing when you bring up a lot of these names is I know, like, there's a lot of collaboration shows, but for specific people, I want to be able to actually go to their home feds and work with them. Because I literally watch everything
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things, no matter how good or bad it is. But no, Resurrection or RPW, excuse me,
Yes.
is something that I watch. Um, I do think their editing needs work, but the rest of their shows are really good when you
Yeah, they
look at the
got some
grand
great
scheme of
talent in
things.
Resurrection. I mean, Resurrection's had definitely some people that have really going on to do big things. D'Angelo is a part of the company. We've talked about him a lot over the years. We've had guys like Mac 10, Cato that are a part of the company. Cameron Cage has been a favorite here on Sportswire.
Oh,
Roddy
that's a name.
Alpha, Adrian Prince. I mean, some really good names in Resurrection. And Anthony Steele was there. He's not there anymore, but he was there. I mean, Rage, who obviously wrestled Ledger Shade, I think it might have been Ledger Shade's last match in his career was against Rage when he was the Resurrection Wrestling
That
World
was his
Champion.
last match. Yep.
Yeah, so that's a thing. But if you're here right now, by the way, please hit a sub button to Aaron Blaze's company, YBW, Young Breakout Wrestling. Please go out there and hit the sub button for them. I'd like you to do it
Yep,
because I have a
we
lot of.
are on the road to Breakdown 6, Sunday, September 29th, and Mr. Main Event here will be main eventing against Dominic for the World Championship he hasn't held since June of 2021. So,
Wow. 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 I can tell you where I was on June 21st at the end of the month. I was in an election and I was doing British wrestling, but we were at our campaign place for 3 months waiting for votes to be counted, which took weeks. But let's move on from that because that was what it was. We're here now. I can assure you I will not be booming Backyard Havoc next year. I will at least this moment. Oh, booking. Okay, I was like booming. What are you booming about? But it's been very stressful for him. But hopefully he's not stressed out by tonight's show, and I hope that he enjoys it. Worlds Collide could be as fun as Kron isn't a part of it, so he doesn't want because he and Mr. Kron, they have their huge issues, huge differences. To quote Genuine, they've got some differences.
interesting.
Yep. Let me get to a couple more comments before we can finally move on. There was I know a lot of chat to get through here. I will say that ALW will have a very different scenery at the beginning of next season. Not gonna, he meant to say spoil anything, but thank you.
Gee, add that to company number 87 that's getting a wrestling. I think
Well,
at
you know
least I
what? I
think
mean,
that's
I
what it
think,
is.
you know what, though? I'm going to say, I know we're going to move on to YBW before we go to the final part of the show, but you know what? But that is good, though. I mean, listen, if you're on a
Yeah.
trampoline, I think that there is a point that guys make, whether it's been Shock or certain guys like D Savage or other people that come here, because I think that if you can, you should want to get a ring. I think that if you can afford it. Now, I'm not saying I'm a believer in trampoline wrestling. Copper Dragon always endorses it. I do believe that there's a lot of merits. I support trampoline wrestling 1000%. I believe that giving people an opportunity, everybody's having a good time. But if you can afford to buy, if you can afford it, only if you can afford it, that should be the natural progression. I mean, there are companies that have done that. I mean, ALW, is if that's what they want to do, great. But AWL has done and gone in leaps and bounds into different things. XCW wasn't always in the ring you see now. TBW wasn't like that. Listen, DBW, right? DBW is in a WWE ring right now. They're in a 1996 old WWF ring right now.
Yeah, I
They
think it's a
didn't
20 by 20
they
or
didn't
something like
start
that.
like that. I mean, every company has to start somewhere. So really,
Exactly.
NEW didn't start out in a ring. So I mean, if you can, you should want to get a ring. So I mean, that's a natural progression. If you want to do it, I think you can afford it. I think that's the
Oh yeah.
whole point. I think some people have a valid point about that, because if you do want to go progress, I think that you should get into a ring. I think, and if you can train, go train for it. That's all. That's all,
Absolutely.
really. You know, but Big Man Cam hates his iPhone. Okay, great. All right. So before I come back to YBW, I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss for everybody here tonight? We've talked a lot about you traveling. You've talked about places. It seems like Backyard Havoc is on your mind. Anthony Steele is on your mind. You did mention TBW. You mentioned names there. DBW, Silas Walker's been mentioned in the past. Maybe we'll see. Stay tuned. ALW got my interest. BTW got my interest there. We'll see what happens there. You've got UWA stuff. You kind of basically said, listen, I'm not talking about what happened at the end of Unleashed. So we'll move on from that. I mean,
Yeah.
you've kind of talked about your position on the trampoline fight. STBW is fighting WCE. We'll see what happens there. I mean, would you like to be a part of that battle, actually?
When and where is the question there to be asking?
They're airing it October 31st. They're airing it October 31st. I'm sure that I can get in touch with you with those people. It'll be in Appleton, Wisconsin. Let's just put it that way.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
we can move on. We can move on.
I mean, you never know what could happen. I'll say that. I don't want to say no, and then miraculously,
But you'll
oh,
be
Aaron
here.
Blaze showed up here.
But you'll be hopefully here Friday for the ROEW ceremony, and I'll go and talk about ROEW. When will we think that it's possible you could be back in ROEW? I think that's a question a lot of people would like to see, because I think you've got a lot of unfinished business in ROEW.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it. It's later this year, and I can't say when, but I do know what I want to do.
Okay.
And now, I really did want to be the guy to beat Jack Delta and take that REW World Championship. Seeing as how things are turning out, and I have faith he's probably still going to have the World
Well,
Championship.
He's never faced somebody like this. Soldier's the
That's
IMF World
true.
Champion. I mean, that's a coin toss. I'd have to be honest. That is a coin. Soldier's a guy that, he's in his company has done a lot. I mean, he's faced some really, really big names. He's faced guys that are underground, indie, Summer Bash, Justin Parsley is War of Words there. His own company, he's feuded with Omen Black in the past. He's Sean Jovi, he's had wars with Craven Rage. I mean, he's had wars with a lot of people. Nicholas Crenson in the past. I mean, James Marshall is a name that they always throw out to Soldier. But I mean, there's no question that Soldier's going to be a tough test for Jack Delta. I mean, I don't know what'll happen there.
Yeah, but he's faced a lot of people of
Sure.
similar stature, whether it's height, age, and accomplishment. So I
True.
kind of feel like he'll Hulk Hogan it and he'll figure it out. But
Well,
In regards to the ROEW World Championship, regardless, I am at the back of the line. I lost. I don't get another opportunity unless I earn one. That's fine. However, there is another championship in ROEW and a rematch that I feel like people would want to see, and a
Oh.
title I've never held before in any capacity, and I'd like to change that. So, whenever I get back to ROEW, hopefully this year, because for shoot skis, I'm going to be working 2 jobs soon
Oh, well.
for a handful of reasons.
Okay, well, I hope it works out, literally.
I do too. I do too.
Wow.
One's working out really well, actually.
Okay.
But I want to be the second ROEW Prestige champion and to win that championship. And that will be the biggest thing I've ever done, because we all talk about big leagues and the biggest dogs and the biggest belts and the biggest names and blah, 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 blah. But I want that rematch with C Money. I know I can beat C Money.
That would be a match that would be a banger. He's had really, I think he's kind of one of the unsung heroes in the backyard circuit. He's had match after match.
Talented.
He's had great Atomic Titan he's beat. He's had great matches with his brother in the IMF even. He's had great matches with Darkron, obviously, hell of a match there. I mean, he's been putting on match after match, and he kind of goes a little under the radar. I think he's starting to get his flowers finally, but he's definitely a guy, you and him, to run that back. I would love to see that match. That would just be a straight-up wrestling match. That would be a match I think a lot of people would like to see, because I really do think you have unfinished business in ROEW. I feel like that the door was open for you to come back there. I feel like ROEW, like, people really want to see you back there. I mean, UWA, I want to see what happens here in UWA with you in this whole situation there. What I feel about UWA, but ROEW, there's a lot of unfinished business that I think that you still have to attend to. And I think that C Money's definitely a name that a lot of people would love to see you run it back with.
Absolutely. And the outcome will be different.
And it's a different ROEW landscape even since you left. You got BYW. You've got even guys like, can I throw one out there? I mean, Justin Parsley, right? He's my PWF champion. He's won 1/3 of the ownership of the PWF, and currently he's the champion, and he's wrestled in ROEW. I would think that Justin Parsley's in the same boat as you, where that door is open, and I don't know when and where you'll go back to ROEW, but, I would like to see a potential possibility of 2 XCW guys wrestling each other in an ROEW ring where it'll matter more than it would have ever mattered in Indiana, as a matter of fact.
That would be interesting. A real headline. Justin Parsley.
The first real wrestler versus the headline. I mean, you guys are another 2 people, very similar personalities. You guys kind of bang to your own drum, wrestling styles. There's some similarities. I mean, I think that would be a match, you and C Money, but you and Justin Parsley to run that back. I mean, with C Money's great, but to go with Justin Parsley, that would be a match I really think that a lot of people would want to see. You know what? That's a dream match. That's a dream match right now. He's a traveler too right now. He's traveling all over the place.
Of dream matches.
You talk about Anthony Steele. Yeah, I want to see that. You talk about Silas Walker. I would love to see Silas Walker, but to me, C Money, we know the history there. And Justin Parsley? I mean, where do I sign? D'Angelo the Flame. I mean, listen, where do I sign for that? But I don't know D'Angelo the Flame's status in Bremen. I mean, but I know realistically, there's names you mentioned that I think can happen. And to me, at the top of the list, I got to go with Justin Parsley. I got to go with C Money, certainly for unfinished business, and Anthony Steele.
Absolutely.
Those would be my 3 that I'd say, what, Anthony's here on next Sunday. He'll give his opinion. He's not going to be worried about that. He's going to say whatever he wants. I mean, who knows? I mean, you put him with a microphone, he'll say whatever he wants about that. Justin Parsley, he's another guy. You give him a microphone and ask him about something, he's not going to worry about that. He's not going to worry about what did Fletch think about that. He's not going to worry about what did I think about that in the PWF or Soldier and Omen think about it. He's going to just tell you what he thinks about that match. And that's the beauty of that. Seeing guys like you wrestle Anthony Steele, seeing guys like you wrestle Justin Parsley. I'm sure James Taylor could make that happen. He's in the chat. He's the ROEW owner. And James Taylor is another guy. He bangs to his own drum. He's never worried about what anybody thinks. And I think that's what the beauty of ROEW is. Notice about ROEW, though. ROEW, we don't care about what your personal stuff was. We don't care what one promoter thought. We don't care about what somebody else said. It's, you got talent? Come on down. Show me what you got.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
And that's why ROEW got to 1,000 subscribers. And that's why ROEW is going to the Hall of Fame Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And I think that's why, to me, I think that's the company. I know it's not number 20. It's number whatever it is on the list, 19 overall.
Yeah, it's 19. It was the last company I was a part of.
So the point is that I think that that's a company you should really go back to. There's just so many great people that I think that you have unfinished business. You know what, Justin Parsley, that's somebody you can wrestle in ROEW. I don't know what the future is about you going back to XCW. That's up to you and your God. I don't know if you're going to show up in IMF right away. I don't know what the future is there. I don't know what the future is for anywhere to show up. But I know ROEW, you've worked there, and Justin Parsley just wrestled a couple of hell of a matches there. And I think that that would be a place that would make a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, Justin, it's weird, and I feel like I'm slowly speaking another thing into existence, and you're going to invite me back on, and we're going to have a laugh about it. But I look at Justin, and I feel like he's kind of like me in the sense, but the difference is, granted, he accomplished a bit more than I have with working with certain parties. Like, he was a champion. Wow. Talk about voice cracks. Now it's my turn.
I heard that.
On me.
Well, we'll get the show ending soon. Trust me.
No, it's fine. He was a champion in XCW. I was not fortunate enough to do that before my departure, no matter how people want to look at it. He got to go to, I almost said Backyard Havoc. My apologies.
Well,
Summer Bash. He got to go to Summer Bash. I know he's booked for Havoc, but I got the shows mixed up for a second. He got to go to Summer Bash. He won the PWF Championship. I've only wrestled one match, and it wasn't for a championship. It was just against Atomic Titan.
Yep.
But I'm not going to lie when I say that there are still some things that irk me in a sense as to why we're different, even though I've done more in comparison. But there are things I know I have the potential to do, and things I still feel like I should have done if I didn't have certain problems that you were aware of. In addition to Summer Bash, yeah, a lot of things could have gone a bit differently.
I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen you there. That would have been, you would have added something, and that was one that was kind of like, I got to be honest, you were the one name I think a lot of people really were like,
wanted.
I think anybody else, really, people were like, yeah, open collaboration, but really, you were the name. I think that people were like, you know what? I really would have liked Aaron, because Aaron was a guy that people really want to see step up. That's why if you can go back to ROEW, if you can, be a part of this Backyard Havoc or these other things we talked about, Worlds Collide, maybe, YBW, ALW. And I think that that's, to me, there is still a lot of unfinished business. And I think that, again, this community, this platform that's been built, that connects those things, because, people are wondering, what if Anthony Steele and Aaron Blaze wrestled? People didn't know if you guys got along. I mean, people didn't know if you guys were friends or not. People didn't know, if you guys were on the same team. James Taylor and use another name, for example. People didn't know if you guys got on. He was a TBW guy. There was the TBW friction with you and them, and but now he owns ROEW. Justin Parsley's a guy you worked with a little bit in XCW, but now Justin Parsley is a traveler. People would love to see that opportunity. I think you and D'Angelo's a natural to me. That just has the story written all over it because of the fact that D'Angelo's been the traveler. He's been the guy that's kind of the next man. It's Jack, it's you, D'Angelo. So that would make so much sense. And I think that those are names that come back to mind. Certainly, yes, C Money. I want to see you run it back with C Money. Other names out there for sure. Silas Walker would be great to see you wrestle. But I think the natural, when you think about, again, this platform, right? And this platform is run basically on IMF, TBW, ROEW, right? Let's throw ROEW in there. Those names I mentioned, again, Justin Parsley, again, names like Anthony Steele, names like D'Angelo LaFlame, they're born from this platform. They've been kind of a staple here. So really, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people that listen to Sportswire and watch the shows. I think that's, to me, those are the three matches I would like to see if there was a will and a way to make them happen. I know that one man's in the chat. I know another man will be here Sunday. He'll say he's not listening, but he'll be listening for that. D'Angelo, he was here, and D'Angelo's going to be back here very soon because he hasn't actually been here in a while, and I know he's going to speak on that. I mean, so I think that those would be names off the top of the list that people would really love to see you wrestle, I think.
Right, and they are definitely matches I would like to have to not only complete aspects of my career, but to give to the community. And
it would be a great moment for people.
My main thing.
And I think that's really, as we hear with Aaron Blaze, the legendary headline, the 17-time world champion. He's the UWA Heritage Champion. He's the CCW World Champion. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We're here for about 25 minutes or so with Aaron Blaze. We are so gracious of his time. Please support our friends over here at YBW. And also, please support our friends at ROEW, UWA, and much, much more. So please, everybody, join us and support those companies. ROEW will be here Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, to go into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So please join us for that. Also, I'm here next Friday with a man I'm sure you'd love to wrestle in, Ledger Shade. He'll be here right after SmackDown on September 27th, but I don't know if that's a realistic one at this point because Mr. Shade is obviously here to talk about his movie. It's going to be obviously world premiere, the anthology, the greatest hits of Ledger Shade. It'll be the 18 chapters. I cannot wait for that one. We've got some great shows ahead. Please join us. Also, the IMF boys are here, Night of Champions. They'll be here previewing that. Also, I will be buying a ticket to that. I'll have a major announcement for the IMF because I heard what the guys had to say in their promo a couple weeks ago. So I've got something for them because we're here about wrestling. I'm not here for the storylines. I'm here for basically giving people a platform and hosting that. But until then, we're here with Aaron Blaze. But I think that really, this platform is really about connecting people and making those moments special. I mean, I even talked about BTW, a company in Roseburg, Oregon. It's had a lot of success. You'd be a natural fit there if it's going to be the West Coast Revival or the Great Frontier. And I see Il Drago here. You'd be a great opponent for him. I see Jacob Frost. I mean, you Darkron. I mean, there's so many people here that I would love to see you wrestle, and I would certainly hope that that's a possibility. And whatever else you decide, I think that everybody will be excited to see, undoubtedly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many dream matches and accomplishments that I need to do and want to do before I think about possibly retiring or anything else like
Does that cross your mind? You're doing this as long as you have, and you talked about now 2 jobs. You have 2 jobs now, and that's a major sacrifice to go out and travel. I mean, has that crossed your mind to kind of say, you know what, I want to scale back, or maybe I want to retire and just start with the next phase of my life? Has that crossed your mind at all?
Couple times, but every time I think about not doing this kind of stuff, I'll end up wanting to do it, like making these little, I guess, nudging for these things and speaking them into existence, whether they happen or not, getting people talking. I just, it's in me. Like, I can't stop doing
Well, I
it.
mean, and we see Jacob Frost here. He left the yard for a while. He left the yard. He came back. Comatose, who's a part of BTW, he left for almost 5 years. I mean, Sean Jovi left. He left the yard for a long time. Nicholas Crenton, some of those guys, and they just had the itch. So maybe it's better to keep going. I mean, Ledger Shade hasn't been in a ring since the 500-day celebration in TBW. That's really, nobody
Really
knows.
great, yeah.
We really don't know what his future will be. We know that we have an appearance, and we're so delighted to have our Hulk Hogan of the backyard, one of the greatest to ever do it. Certainly a man that really he built this platform. His endorsement, I still believe, is one of the greatest endorsements in really history of this platform for him to have been. It was the first interview he ever did. So there's no question that, you obviously have decisions to make, but you're still a young man that if you can continue to pull it off, great. But again, two
Yeah.
jobs, you have a home life. If you can pull it off, I think people want you to be here for as long as you can. But I mean, we see guys thinking about it all the time. Jack Delta's been well documented about his struggles with the travel. D'Angelo is obviously, I know, fought some things about traveling. I mean, Anthony Steele. So,
And he steals
everybody
every season.
struggles with this. Everybody struggles with
Yeah.
their personal life, and everybody has to fit this in. We're not getting paid. This isn't WW. I mean, Remy Ravage is in the house. The legendary Remy Ravage, or XCW International Champion, really a heroic person. What an inspirational comeback Remy Ravage had. She was gone from the yard for a decade. She was a part of the GBYWN, and she connects with an old friend, Sean Jovi, and she one of the really biggest comeback stories in wrestling history. But it's tough. Everybody goes through that decision. Should I step away? Should I step aside? I mean, that's why I asked, because you mentioned you have two jobs coming up here. That's a big commitment, and it's a big sacrifice to go out and do this still while now working.
Right. And it also has its, pros and cons to it, and which would help with traveling a lot, seeing as how one schedule is lighter than the other, and you
Right.
gotta figure out a way to, how can I make myself more financially stable? How can I get to a better place in my life spiritually?
Sure.
And it's just you got to think about those
Mental
things.
health's a big struggle in this circuit. I mean, guys and gals. I mean, Remy's posted a couple things, and we're obviously pulling for Remy. I mean, Jack
Yeah,
Delta
God,
posted
God love
something.
her.
Yeah,
God love her.
yeah.
I was not too happy about what I
A
heard.
lot of people weren't too happy about that, but I think a lot of people have been struggling. Omen Black has been very well documented about his struggles with mental health. Nicholas Crenton talked about his mother dying. I mean, Sean Jovi's talked about his own struggles here. I mean, James Taylor heroically came out today and talked about his own family life. He talked about his struggles. He talked about what he's going through. Everybody knows behind the scenes what Darkron is fighting. This man's a saint. I mean, Darkron, what this man goes through on a daily basis. I mean, this man should win the Nobel Peace Prize. This man should really be the president of the United States. What this man goes through, and he's here every stream, he's in every show. I mean, he's here and no complaints, no nothing. I mean, there's a lot of people in our circuit that go through troubles. D'Angelo, I've spoke with, he's got his things.
Yeah.
Jake's been well documented. I mean, there's a lot of people. Alan Michaels heroically talked about his own struggles. Ace Reed cried when he talked about what he heard from Alan Michaels. Comatose talked about his own. We have a lot of problems in this circuit, and that's why people
Yeah.
come here. That's why it's wrestling first. That's why I asked you. It's a big commitment. I mean, that's why people understand if things are the way they are, because it's been well documented in our platform. We've seen our
A
favorites
lot of
go
stuff.
through struggles, and it's not easy out there.
Oh yeah, no, and you know this, and I don't mind opening up about it. I've recently been struggling on places to even live, based on some decisions made by my mother, who I'm no longer on speaking terms with. She literally kicked me out, um, even though it really wasn't her house to kick me out of, but that's a whole other conversation. She kicked me out literally the day after Rise of Champions, and I now stay here in Pittsburgh, Cannonsburg, with my grandmother, who was so gracious enough to let me stay with her. Um, yeah, and my mom, she definitely has been getting mad at me over this traveling stuff and with
It's a
my
big
own
commitment.
show. And
It's a lot of commitment. It's not easy. What you've gone through, and you were a young boy going out there traveling to these places, and
yeah,
that's why it's not easy. And I think that we need to take a step back for a second and thank all of our backyarders, especially. Thank the likes of Jacob Frost for heroically traveling. Thank the likes of Justin Parsley heroically for traveling. Thank the likes of Jack Delta. Thank the likes of Omen Black and Soldier GP, Sean Jovi, Nicholas Crenson, Anthony Steele, Remy Ravage, Big Man Cam, James Taylor, Darkron, Matthew Forsaken, Joe Stone, Jason Storm. Thank all of our wrestlers, Comatose, Swift, Steven Storm. I mean, think about all of these wrestlers, the sacrifices they go through, 5 hours, 6 hour, 9 hour drives, 12-hour drives. I mean, we thank everybody that goes out there. We don't thank them enough. I mean, everybody that goes out there and does this in our sport, they are sacrificing. Hillbilly Tilly says it all the time. They are putting their blood, sweat, and tears out there. And we need to thank all of our yarders. We need to thank them especially. This is not a paying position. This is not a paying job. And for all of them, like Aaron Blaze and like Jacob Frost and like Jack Delta, D'Angelo the Flame, and like everybody in ALW, YBW. And that's why we want to support everybody. And let me get to some comments here before we end the show soon, because I do want to end the show with YBW, but I got a lot of comments here. And also, please support Aaron Blaze. Please support him on his Instagram page, and we would really appreciate that here. Let's come back to the comments because we're going to move on because I can't read without them. Unfortunately, I was the guy to beat Jack Delta, but when the management is against you, it's kind of hard to walk away with a belt that is rightfully yours. Well,
oh, boo-hoo. I pinned him and didn't get the belt. How do you think I feel?
Well, we'll see. But we'll see Friday night, huh? 2 jobs, Blaze, I see you. Yes. And there is Justin Parsley. That's why I lost to Jelta. I was thrown off. I was preparing to wrestle Cam because I thought he was. Well, I guess was that fake news? Is that the definition of fake news?
Definition of fake news, for sure.
And the brightest lights in the biggest stage. Jack Delta was saying, even mimicking that the other day. He was mimicking people mimic that. People always mimic that line. Prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage. I'm very excited for Friday's show, by the way, and also.
Same here.
Yes, Parsley. If you were preparing to beat me, I beat Delta. So if you were prepared for me, Delta, you would have been cake. Gotta step it up, bro. You gotta. But I don't have a line there. You might have to get through me to get a title shot that was made for me, the ROBW Prestige Championship. Jacob Frost, I would simply beat C Money. I think I'm going to be seeing Jacob Frost. As a matter of fact, I'm just saying, Friday show, Justin Parsley's here. Tune in. And by the way, Thursday, Jacob Frost, you have an open invitation Thursday when Steven Storm is here. Just saying.
Yeah.
I would rather have me take over Sportswire than Silver. That's the point, Zilla. That's the point. I want to retire.
This is all for you, Zilla.
I'm announcing my retirement. I'm going to announce my retirement. Go out on top. Aaron Blaze, we got a whole bunch of people watching us right now. I can go out on top. That's what I did, Jacob. Easy, Mr. Frost. C Money is a legit champion. Jacob Frost is back. Did you see it very gracefully, Mr. Parsley and Kron? You put on a fantastic match. You are a fantastic wrestler, but you are no me, and I simply wouldn't have choked. Ooh. Il Drago, what if Blaze and Drago cross currents? Interesting. Yes. Hi to Drake Golddragon. It's Drake Golddragon, and we see the Filbert guy who's back. Just hit the sub button at this point. That's all I could say. Justin Parsley, I can bring you down if you're doubting my ability to step it up. Delta protects his knees and ankles more than you think about. Who is Cameron? I don't know anybody named Cameron. How you doing, Remy?
Hey, Remy.
Always good to see the international champion. Delta might be the best of the best, an absolute unit. Not many weaknesses, but everyone has a weakness except me, of course. Well, we'll find out soon on Sportswire.
Debatable.
Hello to YBW here. Yes, we love our YBW people.
That's my world champion.
Hello to our champion. I want to get our champion on Sportswire soon. I think you reached out to me about that, and maybe next month, if you'd like to have the champion on, I would like to speak with our champion.
Well,
and if you're
let's see if he's a champion after the 29th first.
Well, we're going to get that to end the show, but if he is the champion, we will certainly like to see him on Sportswire. And if you're here, hit the sub button for me. I'm on the road to 1,000 subs. Thank you, Abraham. I hope that you do go to bed soon. You've got school in the morning.
You don't learn anything in school nowadays.
Well, I can't legally tell people not to go to school.
Right, I know.
Mental health is nothing to play with. My personal struggles since my dad died, but to anyone who's dealing with it, it needs to vent. My ear is open. We love Soldier. Soldier's definitely gone through some things.
Me
He's
too, man.
also praying for his brother as well. And Soldier's a good man, and we love our people on Sportswire. And you can contact me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a
Days a
year.
year.
Yep, you can do that. Yes, we say hello. And who is Steven Storm? Oh, BC3F guy. Yes, that's who he is. I'd rather get woken up at 3 a.m. than hear that someone ended their life. Yes, absolutely. We don't want anybody to end their life. We just want them to hopefully come into Sportswire's lane. But is Darkron also a bogman? I don't know if he's a
Not this
bogman.
guy again. Just block him.
Isaiah Rage, my man Isaiah Rage, who's always got to rage against the machine. Big man can't. Well, let's move on from that
Yeah.
guy.
Don't threaten him with a good time. He'll probably like that.
Well, he was a correction officer. So my understanding is correction officers tend to they like that stuff. Apparently, I mean, wasn't the guy in? Let's move on. Big Man Cam was a former correction officer. Is he still a correction officer? Big Man Cam. I did, ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time. I actually took the police officer test here to be an NYPD officer, but I was like, I've got long hair, and I don't think I'm cutting my hair to be an NYPD officer. So that was my route. But we'll move on here. And let's put up here YBW stuff. So we're going to end the show here. We have a big show coming up here in 2 weeks. And for our audience, what can we expect?
You can expect me to do what a Catalyst does, and that's put himself over, hold the world title for 9 trillion years, beat everyone he comes across, and blah, 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 blah. No, but you can't expect me to take back the World Heavyweight Championship that I haven't held for 3 years, a championship that I've been working my ass off to get back. And every single time I've tried to get back to that point, I've kind of been screwed over by certain people who would get the opportunity, or I'd be up against someone and they'd send someone to attack me, or something shady would happen and I would have to take care of something else. But there's no more distractions. There are people that once ruined my company that are no longer in my company and just picking up my scraps in Indiana. So I don't have to worry about that. There's people that haven't been seen for years that only mattered when they were wrestling me. I don't have to worry about them. They're off fucking off in school and not learning shit and wasting thousands of dollars for no reason. Um I don't have to worry about Magnum Carter because he's too new. I don't have to worry about 2 overgrown children right there that can't wrestle for shit. I don't have to worry about a big fucking Oompa Loompa reffing and doing a terrible job at it. All I have to do is worry about curb stomping Sid the Sloth, pinning him 1, 2, 3, and becoming an 8-time World Heavyweight Champion, joining the likes of Austin G and Joe freaking Anthony of being 8-time world champions in their own home federation. And the difference is I waited so fucking long and I am tired of waiting, Tom. I want my title back.
So would this mean more to you than other championships that you've held recently?
I only say yes to that because, unlike some people, I respect my origins. I respect this is what made Aaron Blaze. And people can get mad for me saying this, but I'm just going to say this bluntly. Without YBW, let's be honest, without YBW, not many people would be watching Anthony Aries because I gave him screen time as a general manager.
Right.
Without YBW, Captain Law wouldn't have gotten a kickstart with any project he was working on. I'm being honest. Also, CBW was built on my back. Let's call a spade a spade. Without YBW, and I need to update that website. It's bad.
Well, we're going to put it up because we do have a lot of people here still. We wanted to make sure they hit the.
That's true. That's true. And thank you for that.
We
Without YBW, there's no Ivan Massacre. There's no T-Bone. There's no Dustin X. There's no Magnum Carter. There's no God. What other mid people were part of the show? Jesus Christ. Oliver Blade came back. There would be no Oliver Blade. There'd be no Dominator. There'd be no Chase. There'd be no Javian Scott. I'm bringing up names that people have probably never heard of because they all fucking sucked in their own ways. And especially without YBW, there would be no ATK. AT gay, AT lame, AT suck. Bro, I'm just being honest. Like, and he can take this however he wants because I know he's gonna see this. Anytime he tried making a wrestling show, nobody cared. Nobody talked about it.
Mm.
I can say and do whatever I want, and people are going to talk about it because I am a fucking draw. I can list at least substance. Tom, because I said it when I was going into the match with Tristan Taylor, that everything I say and everything I do is with purpose, it's revolutionary, and it gets people talking. That wasn't just me building up for a match. That's been documented for 6 fucking years. And I'm tired of certain people acting like I don't exist or acting like they got to this higher stance without me when it's not the fucking truth. It's just not. Like, if we're being honest, I got XCW more talk in the past couple of months, almost a year, than ATK has in a couple of weeks. I was a part of CBW before it was CBW. I went to Omega Michigan Wrestling and put on clinic after clinic. I've been with the best of the best in different
The
parts of the country.
ROEW run, certainly, we see how
There's
much
been so many
that was the hot.
classics.
I think that was maybe the hottest feud of the year so far in the circuit.
Yes.
UWA, I think, is coming off maybe the best
Show it's
conceptually.
done in a while.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think
And I'm
UWA
the
has
ringleader
done that.
for that. I'm the
Yeah,
ringleader
I mean,
for it.
I would definitely say in ROEW and UWA, what you've done there in those companies really helped them a lot. They really going there, I think it really has helped
Elevated
those
it.
companies grow. Yeah, I think ROEW, we know where they are, and I think UWA is really back. I think UWA to me is back because of really your work there. I think that's why those names
The
we mentioned tonight,
real world champion. The real
and
world
those companies, but
champion.
you know what though? All those companies we mentioned tonight, I think that they did look at that and say, you know what? Look at what Blaze did against Delta and C Money. Look at what Blaze has done in UWA, wrestling Jake, wrestling Chase, wrestling Tristan Taylor, wrestling Brett Anderson, wrestling all those guys. And I think that that's why every company still is interested in you. IMF we talked about. You
Yeah.
talked about your feelings there. Backyard Havoc. DBW. Silas Walker. Silas said he'd love to wrestle you there. And DBW, I've done a couple of DBW shows recently, and they've had a great product. In some ways, I think what they've done recently, they deserve a round of applause. Whatever you think about whether they've done or not done, they're in a pro ring, a 20 by 20, like you stated,
And they're
and
doing a great job.
they got camera
And they're doing a
angles
great
are
job.
really, and a lot of good stuff. So I think there's no question that a lot of companies have an interest in you, and that's why it means so much to you to maybe take the YBW championship for the first time in over 3 years. And we're going to find out coming up here in 14 days. Well, actually, less than 14 now, New York time.
Yeah. And the thing is, I want there to be a next generation, not just outside of my normal day to day, but within it. I want guys like Magnum Carter to rise to the rankings. And I want Dom to be one of the, I guess, pardon the term because it's in Tennessee, aces of what we do. But the truth is, Dom's not there yet. I've never watched a Dominic promo and be like, damn, that's really good. Let's air that and have people watch and have Dominic come with me. Oh, this was a really good match that Dominic did. Oh, he's the future. He can outdo Aaron Blaze. Blah, 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 blah. I've seen that from jack off fans with ATK, but they don't count. But I've seen real reactions for guys like T-Bone, guys like Ivan, and Dominic's not there yet. And if anyone should be filling a void that a certain someone left behind, because God forbid stories can be appreciated anymore, especially with my show. I think that the last saving grace in that regard is me. And I've stepped aside for 3 years, Tom. Keep in mind, I've stepped aside for 3 years.
+3 years. That's a long time in this circuit. I mean,
And
guys.
look what's happened since then. Yeah, we've gotten over 1,000 subscribers, but the amount of issues we've had with one person, and then him taking his mid guys and going elsewhere, whoop-de fucking do. Way to conduct business, you jack off. And then we look at people like Mason Wheeler, who were talented and had the gift of gab and the gift of jab, but they couldn't keep up and they just left. Guys like Oliver Blade, who have been in and out. I literally roll out a red carpet to people that show up to Young Breakout Wrestling, and time after time, they just shit the bed. And honestly, since I end up tucking them in anyways, I might as well read them a good night story and give them a fucking bottle of their mama's milk and then just fucking take the reins myself like I always do. Because I do it in other companies as it is. I mean,
So
let's
why not
face it.
just do it in your own? In September 29th, you're going to take this championship away, even though your champion says no one will be taking my YBW World Heavyweight Championship, not even Aaron Blaze.
We'll see. Because the Razor Instinct is going to get cut off, just like he did at Snowfall Brawl 5. Another big marquee match, by the way. Last man
Mm,
standing. And I was the last man standing, Dominic.
mm.
You couldn't get up. I put you down. I took the hardcore championship from you. And yes, you won it back, but the facts were you weren't the last man standing in February, and you're not going to be the last man standing this month. It's going to be me. And I'm going to put myself the fuck over just like other people do. I'm going to be Mr. Judgment. I'm going to be Jake Dvorak. And whatever other fucking owner puts a world title on themselves and claims it's for a story. I'm going to become an 8-time world champion, and then I'll hold it for what, fucking 2 years and have barely any defenses. I'll pull an NJN from BCW and talk about how great I am. Or I'll pull an ATK and barely defend and talk about how I'm Jesus Christ. I'm just sick and tired of it. The difference will be I will actually put on a match that's worth watching, and I'll actually defend my fucking championship like I do in UWA, like I would in ROEW, and like I have with any other promotion I've been champion in. Cause I am the fucking draw, not Dominic.
Ooh, well, I mean, you want to talk about what's ahead. If you haven't yet hit a sub button for YBW, I would hope you do so because you're going to watch this match coming up here less than 2 weeks from now. And
Breakdown 6.
we're going to see if Aaron Blaze becomes an 18-time world champion and becomes an 8-time world champion in his own promotion. We'll see if that'll happen. Also, please follow YBW on Instagram. There's also some merchandise. You can go to the T Public store, 33% off right now, up
On
until
sale.
another 3.5 hours. You can get a shirt like mine, and we'll have to see. I mean, Dominic obviously has got a lot to say in the chat. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
he can say whatever he wants, but after this, he's just gonna go. He's probably gonna end up quitting like everyone else. He's probably gonna go back to making his mid video game videos. He'll probably only get like less streamers than XCW does in the grand scheme of things, and he'll go fuck off somewhere and do something mid, like all the other washed up nobodies and has-beens end up doing, and then find their way back to me because
you're
I'm
not
their
concerned
daddy
in
at the
any
end of
way,
the
but you're
day.
not concerned though in any way that he could be using this as motivation right now.
No, no,
No,
Dom. The only
no way. No, he's not
motivation.
using this for motivation. No way.
No, no, absolutely not. The only motivation Dominic has is to
Because I've seen this
hold on,
before
hold
in
on.
other promotions.
Let me get one of these. Hold on, give me 1 second. I need to
Oh
find it.
boy, ladies and gentlemen, is Aaron Blaze going to a place we haven't yet seen before? Before we get
Okay,
ready to close the show.
the
Oh,
only motivation Dominic has is to get one of these. Right? Open it up, take out the disc, and put it into a console and just play away for the next couple of hours because that's all Dominic does.
oh
It's not
my
hone his
God.
craft. It's not put some weight on his frail fucking skinny body. It's play video games like a fucking virgin.
You know,
That's all he's
ladies and
going to do.
gentlemen, last night Craven Rage brought out a coffin for STBW. Tonight, before we close the show, Aaron Blaze has brought out a video game console, and he's brought out a disc in it, and he now wants his champion, for now, Dominic, to go out there and play it.
Yeah,
Because that's
just
the
play
only.
video games. Keep playing 2K. Play as yourself. Keep using the low blow button when the ref's not looking because you can't fight fairly because you're a fucking bitch. And I'll make you mine on the
You know
29th.
what? I tell you what. These last 2 days on Sportswire, Craven Rage has now won the coffin for the boys in STBW in Kewanee, Illinois. Aaron Blaze now wants his champion, Dominic, to go out there and just play Xbox Live and put his streamer out and put his gamer tag out for everybody. And because that's all he's going to be doing is streaming after he loses that YBW championship to Aaron Blaze in the headline. The headline will be this on September 29th if Aaron Blaze gets his way. Aaron Blaze will be the UWA Heritage Champion, and then he'll be the YBW Champion of the world. He'll have championship number 18.
Aaron
He'll have
3 belts.
world title number 8. He'll be the CCW Champion, the YBW Champion, the UWA Heritage Champion. We'll be calling him Aaron 3 belts. He'll be comatose. Comatose was a triple belt holder, and Aaron Blaze, well, I guess then, Aaron Blaze, if you win this match, I'm going to go up the ante for you, Aaron Blaze. I'll tell you what.
Oh.
Before we sign off, I'm going to up the ante here. If you win this match on September 29th, you're able to defeat Dominic to win that YBW World Heavyweight Championship, you can go into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame once again. If you're able to do that. Now, Dominic's going to have a lot of motivation, but I'll tell you what. You do it, you go out there and win this, you can be a multiple-time Hall of Famer, just like Justin Parsley. It's a big if, because Dominic's here in the chat right now, but that's what's on the line. In addition to
I'm surprised he's not asleep with his whack-ass sleep schedule.
He said it's because without me, you would have probably stopped YBW. He's saying that you would have ended YBW. That true?
Okay. Okay, buddy. Okay. Well, we'll see who's laughing on the 29th, and it will be me as an 8-time world champion. You're welcome, buddy.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this has gotten personal. Aaron Blaze and Dominic, I mean, this is personal. I mean, I know Aaron Blaze said things about somebody else that was in his promotion that works in another promotion, but this Dominic, I thought what Craven Rage did last night was certainly different, but Aaron Blaze now is basically shot on his champion. He's talked about him going to stream again and going to bed and just basically all these things and what he was and what he will be. And this is why you have to tune into YBW. This is why before we sign off, you have to hit that sub button for YBW, Young Breakout Wrestling. Young Breakout Wrestling is on its way to 1,500 subs. And there's still a lot of people here tonight, so go hit that sub. I know if you're out there, you're going to hit the sub button for me. I'm on my road to 1,000 subs, but YBW is on their road to 1,500 subs, and we're on to the road to a huge show coming up here September the 29th. It can't get any sooner. I can't wait to watch it. I hope you join me and Aaron Blaze. He wins. He goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame once again, so let me get to a few final things from the chat before we sign off. Yes, I agree with Big Man Cam. Mental health is very important. Wrestling is the reason I got out of my issue. That's why I'm always happy at shows, but we haven't seen you physically on Sportswire's show. So Big Man Cam is a boss man 2.0. We're talking about Big Man Cam's correction officer days. But if anyone needs me, let me know. I didn't realize my Sportswire has been like a minute and a half behind. I don't know why that is. I wouldn't know that. Yes, let me see where am I behind. But subscribe to YBW and Sportswire. Yes, they're on the road to 1,500 subs. I'm on the road to 1,000 subs. And Aaron Blaze is going to be here Friday night, 9 o'clock with the rest of the RWW brethren. And maybe Dominic will be there if he retains the championship. Or Aaron Blaze will be back in the Hall of Fame once again. Just there's something at stake right now. And so that's
8-time and a Hall of Fame plaque.
Three-time Hall of Famer because RWW, you'll be in the Hall of Fame for a second time, and then
that's true. Shit.
You'd be a 3-time Hall of Famer. I mean, that's you're on the road to Justin Parsley territory, and don't say that he'll get now worked up and want to be in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. He'll concoct a strategy to be a 6-time Hall of Famer by tomorrow.
Oh, he would.
He's actually admitted that he wants to be a 17-time Hall of Famer. So I'm sure by the time Friday's show, he'll be in the Hall of Fame at least 3 more times.
Because I'm a 17-time world champion? Like, what the fuck?
No, that's before that, actually. This is going on for like 5 months. So actually, this has nothing to do with you. It's actually, that's been the plan. So yeah, he's a 5-time Hall of Famer. He's even used some of the Hall of Fame certificates in storyline purposes. But that's a different conversation for a different time. I think it's time to pass the baton to you for closing thoughts. Before I do that, though, let me get to 2 more comments. Abraham's here October 3rd, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Tune in for that.
God bless you, Abraham.
After we see Blaze win another world title, the day after, you can watch me defeat Mad Jack. Let's just put it that way. I mean, Mike, Steven Storm. Yeah, that sounds right. Beating Storm at All Out War 2. And that's tomorrow's show, by the way. BTW, RTG is here after Raw. I've got Psychotic Freak at some point before that. I've got also ROEW Friday, Steven Storm, Thursday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So all great stuff. It's time to pass you the baton for closing thoughts. This was certainly one for the ages. It always is with you. You've become, again, like an Anthony Steele, James Taylor here, Jack Delta regular, and all these different individuals that come here, Omen, Soldier, Jake Dvorak, everybody that comes here regularly. You're in that lane. But let me give you the floor for closing thoughts and fire away.
So regardless of if I can make it to the Backyard Havoc, or if it is September 29th for Breakdown 6, or whatever UWA has lined up next for me as the Real World Champion, Heritage Champion, same thing really. And whatever I have going on next with this CCW Chaos Heavyweight Championship, there is only one real gold standard in backyard and underground wrestling. There is only one true kingpin, the only catalyst that matters. He is the title-taking, trash-talking, trailblazing, more moment-making headline of All Wrestling Matters, and soon to be your 18-time world champion, your 8-time YBW World Heavyweight Champion, future of Backyard and Underground Wrestling, and soon to be 3-time Hall of Famer in the span of one single solitary month. As you can see, the headline is Homelanding, and I am the Homelander of this bitch. The headline, Aaron Blaze. I have graced your screen yet again. Tom, thank you for having me, and I hope you guys stay tuned with what I've got going on, because unlike most people, I tell a story. I get people talking, and I am the real revolution of wrestling.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Blaze, he is definitely blazing his trail. We asked at the top of the show what would be next for Aaron Blaze. He's talking.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy, by the way.
Well, that guy we're not going to say F to, but Aaron Blaze certainly talked about what's next. We look to the future. We looked at different places potentially. Could it be a Backyard Havoc? Could it be back in ROEW? Could it be an IMF? We even heard the words TBW potentially. We heard names thrown out there like Alan Michaels, Chaotic. We threw names like Anthony Steele, who's back here next Sunday. We heard names thrown out there like, I don't know, Justin Parsley, D'Angelo LaFlame. We had names thrown out there like C Money for a rematch. We had names thrown out there like Silas Walker. We had also things mentioned, I don't know, maybe YBW versus ALW, Worlds Collide. We had a Great Frontier, West Coast Revival. Jacob Frost was thrown out there. We had a whole list of things that were thrown out there that who knows whatever else. But I know one thing. Aaron Blaze is back on this platform Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with the slew of his brethren in ROEW as they go into the Hall of Fame for surpassing 1,000 subscribers on YouTube in just for a few minutes this coming Friday. ROEW members are going to stand in solidarity, in unity, because ROEW is going into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. It's going to be one for the ages. I can't wait for it. The road to 1,000 subscribers goes through ROEW, and tonight's show, which you just heard from Aaron Blaze, We're back at it later today with RTG from BTW. So that road to 1,000 subs continues. And I know we're going to be seeing people here like Abraham. We're going to see people here like maybe Dominic if he somehow retains. And who knows, whatever else.
If he's awake.
But I tell you what, Aaron Blaise, this was definitely one for the ages. You always outdo yourself every time you're here on Sportswire Radio. Congratulations on your successful defense of the Heritage Championship at Unleashed. Congratulations on all the success with YBW. Looking forward to seeing you here Friday night and looking forward to the future. And you've certainly blazed your own trail, and I can't wait to see what happens. And we'll see if it includes championship number 18. And Dominic says he'll be awake. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. It was one for the ages. What a weekend it was on Sportswire Radio. STBW versus WC dominated Saturday night. Aaron Blaise tonight, and boy, did he blaze a trail. And even the Friday Sportswire show, we pretty much ran the gauntlet. We talked pro wrestling, NFL, Major League Baseball, that's such a thing, and we closed it out in style. Some would say summer has made its last stand, but I think we're just getting started because Aaron Blaise is looking to the fall, and we could be seeing him in a whole list of other places. He's on his own road to 20 subs, 20 promotions, 1,500 subscribers. Aaron Blaise is definitely on his own road, and that road is definitely going to lead him to new destinations for sure. Undoubtedly, that 20th promotion could be coming real soon. 1,500 subs to YBW definitely will come in a blink of an eye. And oh, maybe that road will also include a third Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame appearance real soon. Stay tuned to all that. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your support. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively, literally, where all wrestling matters. Nice. If you're on sportswireradio.org, thank you so much for tuning in. You'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming here in a few minutes. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and X, hit the sub button for me and YBW on the road to 1,000 subs. One by one, we're going to get there. And also, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.